I'm Chris Edwards alongside Jay Sonhalter. Delighted to have you with us. Jay, we'll start our conversation tonight with Concord. A lot of question marks for the Spiders as they enter this 2015 season.
Well, a lot of inexperience on offense, Chris, but that defense is where they're really going to rely. They run a 4-2-5 defense where they have different blitzing schemes. They really rely on that defensive line with Mike Baker and Des Scott plugging up the middle.
On the flip side for A.L. Brown, they're trying to snap a 3-game skid to Concord. Many have called this the best A.L. Brown team in more than a decade, and a lot of reasons to be excited, especially on offense.
Well, the Brown coaches are really excited for the talent they have coming back. In the summer, they've had a preparation and the practices they've had in preseason. And with that offense scoring 52 points against Mallard Creek last year, that just shows you the potent offense that they do have.
Our stars to watch, we'll start with Concord. Even though they're inexperienced on offense, Keenan Black is the leader of the offense, over 3,500 career passing yards.
Well, Black's the star on the offense. He's a preseason conference player of the year, and he's a pocket passer with a strong arm that offense is really going to rely on.
A battle of quarterbacks tonight. A.L. Brown has Damon Johnson under center. He passed for almost 1,500 yards last year.
Yeah, well, he's a dual threat quarterback, so he can throw it, but he can also run it. And when he does throw, they try to get him on the move and get him out of the pocket to hit his receivers.
Well, for whom will the bell toll this year? We'll find out when you come back on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. Tonight, his Wonders will get the football first as Concord won the toss and elected to defer. Marissa James has it teed up at the 40. Toe meets leather, and the high school football season underway. We're off and running from Kannapolis. Short kickoff, it'll be Stephen Howie on the return up the far sideline, and he's out near the 30-yard line, so good starting field position for the Wonders on their first offensive series. And a good look at the quarterback for A.L. Brown. It'll be Damon Johnson, who runs the offense tonight. Johnson, a 6'1 senior. Last season, almost 1,500 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. You mentioned turnovers, something he's going to have to cut down on this year.
Exactly, Chris. And it's such a great feeling for Coach Newsom coming out here with a star senior quarterback, a three-sport athlete leading your offense.
Wonders will work from the shotgun. There's a look at that 4-2-5 defense for Concord. No pressure here as the handoff goes to McCoy, and a big run from McCoy. He'll get about 8 yards on first down. Sandon McCoy, the 5'11 senior, an all-conference selection a year ago.
Well, Chris, he had such a successful year last year, looking to build on that success, and one of those guys that can run it inside, but he really does his damage on the outside on that zone replay.
A couple of offers for McCoy: Army, Navy, Elon, and Coastal Carolina, and I'm sure more to come for that power back. 210 pounds, maybe not your typical tailback, but a bruiser back there for A.L. Brown.
Well, he's very compact and he's quick. He's got great feet and very agile when he goes through the hole.
Little misdirection there as Johnson will keep it, looking for a block. Big running room for Johnson. He's across midfield and out inside the 45-yard line. His toe touchdown on the near sideline, but a huge play on second down for A.L. Brown.
And Chris, that was all set up by Sandon McCoy's block on the sideline, and Johnson running around the edge. That's where he does his damage, get on the outside, and the big block coming up here. And he just takes it out and stays inbound and really starts to get some momentum for his offense.
Yeah, it was Jalen Cagle who threw the big block there, the other running back. But Johnson, as you mentioned, a dual threat guy. He ran for over 500 yards and 6 touchdowns a season ago. Another powerhouse backfield for A.L. Brown. It's back to the ground with McCoy, who squirts ahead for about 5 yards.
Just an inside run right there, Chris, and McCoy showing his spin moves and his agility and getting a couple tough yards, and the tight end going off and cutting off the backside with a nice block.
Look at the A.L. Brown sideline. They've had a lot to cheer about so far in the first nearly minute of this contest. Marching on this defense for Concord, which we thought was going to be the strong suit for the Spiders coming in.
Well, that defensive line especially, so much experience and so much size, speed, and weight, and so much beef right there on that 4-2-5. And right now the Wonders are taking advantage of their offensive line's blocking.
And Johnson, taking advantage of a huge block, has another first down near the 30-yard line. He was finally upended by a couple of guys there. Looks like P.J. Hall might have been in on the stop, the 6-foot junior.
And Chris, it's so important right now for A.L. Brown to get this running game established, because then that's going to help their passing game and the ability for play action pass when they fake those runs for Johnson to get back there and pinpoint on his receivers.
To your point, A.L. Brown had a ton of success a season ago on the ground against Concord. They ran for 258 yards on the Spider defense, and as we mentioned a minute ago, they are really strong up front. On first down, it's a straight handoff to Cagle, who plows ahead to the 25, wrapped up by a couple of guys there. Once again, Hall in on the stop.
Well, Cagle, the coaches are really excited about. Everyone's talking about McCoy, but Cagle's just as talented there in the backfield as well, and just a 1-2 punch in that backfield. And really with Johnson, it's a three-headed monster, Chris.
Aaron Summers reporting on the sideline sends a note up here that Amir Young, one of the senior middle linebackers, holding his calf, went down a couple of minutes ago. Would be a big loss if he can't go on. It's hot and humid, maybe just cramping early in the game.
Yeah.
Johnson to pass for the first time tonight. Little screen pass for McCoy, looking for a block and has it inside the 15. Great field position before he's finally plowed down by Justin Nicholson, a backup strong safety.
The play calling right now from the Brown coaching staff is excellent. They're mixing it up right there. The defensive line's getting some pressure right here. They just throw the little swing pass, let the offensive lineman retreat out and make up a beautiful lane right there for McCoy to run and get the extra yardage.
Nice block by Cameron Peters, the 6'2 senior. 260 pounds as they go back to the ground with McCoy, who tries the outside. Flag flies for the first time tonight, has pushed him out of bounds, but a big game. We'll see where the flag comes in, and I imagine this will probably be a hold against A.L. Brown. Nicholson again was there on the stop, and the first chance for Steve Adams, our referee tonight, to make a call.
And it's going to be a penalty here, Chris, but the A.L. Brown fans have to be excited.
And it'll be a hold on A.L. Brown. They'll still be first down. Here's the replay.
Just running on the outside there. The wide receiver got a hold of the defender and just pushed him a little too farther out. It's easy for the referees to call that once you get on the outside, but right now this drive's really been impressive so far for the Wonders.
Looks like Alex Hubble was the culpable party there for A.L. Brown. So that'll back the Wonders up to the 24-yard line. It's first down and 21. Second pass attempt for Johnson to the end zone, underthrown and knocked away. Boy, that one had interception written all over it, and cannot believe he couldn't make the play there was Nicholson, who's been everywhere on defense the last couple of plays.
One of the stars of the defense, Nicholson, almost picked that off, jumped just a little bit too early there, and Johnson rolled out in one of his strengths, but he was throwing across his body. That's a tough throw to make, and when he rolls out here, throwing to the left, is a beautiful ball, just a little bit short, and the Wonders were lucky that was picked off by the Spiders.
Dominic Washington, the intended receiver. We talked about the 10 interceptions last year for Johnson. A season ago, Concord picked off 12 passes, so they can get their job done through the air as well. Second down and long, play action. Johnson will try it again, near side, got a man, and it's caught. Touchdown! Dominic Washington puts A.L. Brown on the board.
And what a throw by Johnson, Chris, making amends for the last play right there. That just shows you his arm strength and his touch, lofting it over the defense for the beautiful throw to Washington for the touchdown, putting the Wonders on the board.
This is a team that didn't throw a whole lot last year, averaged just 129 yards of offense through the air a season ago, but A.L. Brown gets on the board here first, and Nate Williams will kick it into your living room. A season ago, he was 90% on point afters. He's 100% here in 2015. A.L. Brown leads it 7-0.
And what a start by Johnson, leading his offense down the field, and again rolling to the left a little bit, but finding Washington his favorite target and just lofting it over the defense right in stride with a nice catch for 6 points, with the extra point making it 7. And Chris, we talked about the keys to the game for A.L. Brown getting off to a fast start, and that's exactly what they did on that drive.
Almost seemed like that play was the identical play they ran one play before, so why go back to the well there if you're Coach Newsom?
Well, a lot of times the coaches can see something, and they saw saw that the defense wasn't playing that play well, and they beat the defender earlier on the play before, so they just went right back to the well, and he made a better throw, and it was a completion.
Just under 9 minutes to go here in the first quarter, and we'll get a chance now to see the Concord offense for the first time tonight as Nate Williams will get the football and be ready to kick it away. Carter Mazingo was the deep man, or is the deep man for Concord, and I'm sure some defensive adjustments on that sideline for the Spiders. As A.O. Brown really had their way, especially on the ground during that opening series.
Well, whenever there's these breaks in action, it's really time for the coaches to make teaching points and to get everybody to calm down, because there's so many nerves going through these guys. You know, they're high school kids, and so it's such an important game, Chris, with this rivalry. There's a lot of nerves out on that field.
As you mentioned, Williams has it teed up at the 40-yard line. I think a big return here would be great for Concord, maybe to get momentum back on their side. Deep kickoff, sailing toward the goal line. Mazingo from the 1, looking for a block. Big hit, but not much running room out to the 15-yard line. That was a big block, but it looked like that time Sharon Sutton said, "You can't stop me. I'm going to get 2 guys at one time."
Well, that cover unit just swarming to the ball. We saw that yesterday in practice, Chris. The Wonders really practicing hard on their special teams and staying in their lanes, and it paid off on that play right there.
Big look there at big number 91, C.C. Huntley, the sophomore, getting the start. Coach Newsom told us that Huntley maybe not quite where they want him to be by the middle of the season, but he gets the start tonight as a sophomore. And the one thing for A.L. Brown, they have to be better on defense. That was the underlying theme all week long from the Wonders coaching staff. It's Black, a play fake on the opening play from scrimmage. From Mazingo, big play out near midfield. And Black, who passed last season for over 1,500 yards, hooks up with Mazingo on the first play from scrimmage. He had 8 catches a year ago, but his first one here this year.
What a design on that play right there with the fake. Mazingo going out into the flat, an up and out route, and then Black showing off his strong arm, hitting Mazingo in stride with the fake right here coming across. No one picked up Mazingo. Black looked to the right, then went back to the left, and nice completion to get his team up near midfield.
No huddle offense for Concord. Mazingo in motion. It's a handoff to P.J. Hall for the first time tonight, and he's swallowed up across midfield. A smorgasbord of Wonders there to make the stop.
Well, Mazingo and Hall are playing both ways, and the Spires coaching staff excited to see how Hall does at running back this year. He's been one of the stars of defense and going to get more action tonight on offense. He's really a bruiser running in between the tackles.
Yeah, an all-conference selection at a linebacker position a season ago. Two-sport athlete, also plays basketball for the Wonders. A lot of two-sport guys on both these sidelines tonight. Second down, 8:20 to go in the first quarter. It's Hall again on a misdirection. Squirts ahead and might have the first down as he falls across the 37-yard line.
Well, the Spiders right now working on their running game after the big completion to Mazingo, and their offensive line is very inexperienced, but they do have some size up there. They're creating some holes for the running backs.
Glenn Pageant, the head coach of Concord, giving the play to Keenan Black. Coach Pageant, a long career. 138 career victories. This is his 18th overall season, his 7th year in his second stint at Concord. 66 career victories for the Spiders. First and 10 from inside the 45. That play blown up from the start. It's Dantrell Barkley on a big hit. Barkley, the 6'3", 275-pound senior, called one of the toughest players in the conference to block, and you can see why right there.
Well, Barkley just had no regard for who was blocking him.
Or trying to.
Shove the whole offensive line in the backfield, shed it with a big play, and that defense needed that to start to get some momentum. And right here, the pressure by that defensive line, Barkley shoving back his man and going to the backfield and disrupting the offense and causing chaos in the backfield.
Loss of 4. Puts Concord behind the chains here on 2nd and 14. Black, a swing pass for Mazingo. Doesn't have much running room, and he is pile drived down right around midfield. There to make the initial hit, Cameron Rogers, the senior outside linebacker.
What a great form tackle by Rogers right there. Well, that's what the coaches teach, is to stay low, wrap your arms, and drive through. That was a tough open field tackle. And right now, with such a third down and about 15, really putting the Spiders offense in a predicament here, because they're at midfield. You're in pretty good field position, but it's hard to call plays in this down and distance situation.
That play lost 2 more yards. It's now 3rd down and 15. Chance here for A.L. Brown to get off the field and keep the momentum on their sideline. 3 wide to the top of your screen, and that's going to be a delay of game, I believe. So each squad has 1 penalty against them in their opening drive. A snap infraction. So I take that to mean that the center didn't hike the ball. He faked the hike.
Yeah, he moved the ball a little bit, and the refs caught it there. And you always have to hold the ball when you're a center and pause for a second before you can snap it. So putting yourself here in another 3rd and 20 situation, the coaches on the defensive side of the Wonders preach getting off the field because 1st and 2nd down are important, but 3rd down, it's all about getting off the field.
3rd down and all the way to Concord. Play fake. Pocket collapsing. Black. Flag flies in. He's down at the 40-yard line, and I think the ball squirted out as well. Looks like Concord fell on it, but let's wait and see what the flag is all about. Now, you can see on the bottom of the pile, Rogers coming up with the football. And a great look at Steve Adams, our referee. I don't think it's going to matter. My thought would be, as a hold infraction called on Concord, they're going to decline the penalty, and now 4th down coming up.
Well, the Wonders defensive line is getting great pressure, and when you're a third and long situation, you know it's going to be a pass, so they're just attacking Black, and with a fumble right there, creating chaos in the backfield, and the Spiders are lucky to jump on top of that.
A great look from our crew. They're in mid-season form already. It's Black who will do the punting for Concord as well. Opens you up to maybe some quick kick formations later in the game, and a lot of movement on the offensive line. Goes back to what we talked about in the open. First game of the season, first real chance to get out there and play somebody with a different color uniform on. Probably going to have a lot of sloppy penalties early in the game.
Well, a string of penalties and a brand new offensive line and a new punting unit there with the line right there. And you expect there to be some nerves and some false starts, but you just want to limit that as much as possible to help your team in the down and situations.
Halfway through the opening quarter, Black gets the kick and gets the ball and gets the kick away. Short kick. That one hit a player and is loose and picked up by Concord. Did that hit an A.L. Brown player? Let's wait and see. Flag is down. Could be a kick-catch interference, but let's wait and see who has the football. Concord has the football. And you talk about sloppy play, Jay, there's one right there, a mental mistake for A.L. Brown.
Well, turnovers and special teams are keys to the game, and right there, A.L. Brown didn't secure the football. They didn't look for it. It hit off their man, and the Spiders were on the spot and ready to pick it up, and Najee Williams hit off his shoulder, and the Spiders were in position, being aware, just like you're supposed to be. When you're on that kick unit covering the ball, you always look for the ball, and you're always in range just in case there's a fumble or to be in position to make the tackle. And right there, they're going to have great field position.
Yeah, the flag, a dead ball foul of some sort. So Concord keeps the football now on the right side of the 50, and new life for the Spiders. And a whistle before the play, and did A.L. Brown call a timeout? Let's wait and see. Yep, timeout called by the Wonders. That's their first timeout of the opening quarter. All right, Jay, we're a little over halfway through this opening quarter. Dissect what we've seen so far.
Well, right now, the Wonders did a great job on offense going down the field, and they really had the momentum right there, but that special teams turnover is going to put the Spiders back in great field position. And for that defense of the Wonders, they pretty much got off the field, did their job, and took advantage of some penalties by the Spiders. But they're going to have to go back out on that field, have a sudden change. And with this hot weather, the coaches are trying to give them a little bit of break right now because they know the depth issues they have on that side of the ball.
I think Coach Newsom just called the timeout to argue with the officials a little bit right there.
That might be true, too. That isn't the first time that has happened. And, coaches are very strategic when they call timeout. Sometimes it's to rest, sometimes it's to strategize, and sometimes it's to talk with the officials.
Mike Newsom doing a great job here at A.L. Brown in his 5th season as the head coach, 35-17. Came down the road from Butler High School, where he was the head coach for a number of years and won back-to-back state titles. 1st and 10 for the Spiders. It's a play fake and a handoff to Mazingo, and his knee slips down to the 44-yard line, so we'll also for that time. Had a lot of rain in the area last night and even a little bit early this morning. Don't know how much that caused him to slip. Field seemed pretty sturdy when you and I were down there before the game today.
Yeah, the field was in great the field was in great
condition,
but last night there was a lot of rain, and then with this type of ball game, when you're coming out, anytime you're playing your first game of the year, a lot of times your feet aren't under you, and again, those nerves get back to you, and sometimes you try to make too quick of a cut or your feet aren't stable underneath you.
2nd down and 14 from the pistol. Mozingo on the out pattern, looking for some help. Got past one man and gets back to the original line of scrimmage, maybe, before he's bottled up and dropped. Couple of defenders there for A.L. Brown. Looks like Niker Wise was the first man to come through and hit him.
With the Spider offense right now, they're running the ball to the outside. They're also throwing the ball to the outside. And the defensive side, they're playing to the sideline. So at some point here, if they take a shot down the middle, that would be a good opportunity.
Looks like Mozingo might have got poked in the eye. He's got his helmet off. You can see through the humanity there on the sideline, getting some attention by the trainer. He's been really the only threat on the outside so far for Concord tonight.
He's been the main offensive weapon at the wide receiver position.
See if Aaron can get an update on him as Concord wants to call a timeout. And look at Coach Padgett all the way out near the hash marks that time to get on his offensive line. He's upset, but maybe a little bit of growing pains that has to be expected for Concord breaking in an entire new offensive line.
Well, that inexperience is starting to show right now, and this offense needs to start getting into rhythm, start getting some momentum going, because that first drive, other than the first play to Mozingo, nothing really well happened for them. There are multiple penalties, and on this drive, they're in a situation here, 3rd and 10. So his offense needs to get a drive going in to match what the Wonders offense did on their first drive of the game.
Been fairly impressed defensively for A.L. Brown. I know we talked about that being a concern coming in. Only 2 starters back from a defense that really hurt them several times last year. You think about the 52 points they put up on Mallard Creek last year, lost the football game, and then they scored 42 points in their playoff game against Reagan and lost 50-42. So you can see where defense was the primary concern for the Wonders coming into this year.
Well, so far in this ball game, they're really swarming to the ball, and they're running together in packs, and they're in good, fundamentally sound tackling position.
Big 3rd down for Concord, down by 7. Mozingo back in to the right of the quarterback, Keenan Black. They bring the house. Dump pass is bobbled and caught. It's Drew Yos, the tight end, who makes the catch, but well shy of the first down as the defense swarms to the football there. Catches a season ago, but couldn't get away from Barkley, who once again made a huge stop.
Well, the talented tight end had an opening, a crease down the middle of the field, and just got tripped up right there, but a nice play call by the Spiders trying to trick him down the middle of the field. 4th
down and 5. You're on the plus side of the 50. Looks like Concord going to bring the punting unit on the field. Like this call, Jay?
Well, yeah, I think in this position, it's going to be a long field goal, so you're just playing the field position game, and to pin the Wonders back. The Turner's down at about the 8-yard line.
Black gets off a wobbly kick. Fair catch called for, and that'll die inside the 10-yard line, and Concord will pin A.L. Brown back around the 6. So A.L. Brown survives a couple of mental miscues there, but gets the football back, granted deep in their own end, but still leading by 7.
Well, that's a nice punt by Black right there, and changing the field position. But now it's going to be on that defense and that defensive line. They gave up some big runs on the last drive, and it's going to be on them to plug up their holes and try to get the offense back to give the ball back to their offense.
Good look at the A.L. Brown sideline there. A lot for the defense to be proud about. They survived a couple of onslaughts by Concord. But now if you're the Spider defense, maybe a chance to pin your ears back and go after the quarterback. We'll see if A.L. Brown tries to use the rush to get out from the shadows of their own goalpost. Johnson working from the gun, and flags will halt the progression of this play. And maybe a motion penalty up front. Encroachment called on Concord, and right now the Spiders really shooting themselves in the foot.
Well, the penalties are starting to string together, and we talked about turnovers and penalties, and they created a turnover on their punt unit, but right now the penalties are really hurting them and putting their defense in a bad field position with 1st and 5.
Took a little while for that play to develop, but a chance on the outside for A.L. Brown as Casey Richty touches the football for the first time tonight, a wide receiver who hauled in 4 catches a year ago. And the two-sport athlete moves the chains out across the 20-yard line.
Well, part of the strategy for the Wonders is running the outside, and what that does is the strength of Concord is their defensive line. It's making them run a lot, making them get tired, and that's part of the strategy and the reason they're running so much of those sweep plays to the left and right side of the field.
Johnson has done a nice job managing the offense for the first 9 minutes or so of this opening quarter. McCoy gets the call again, stutter steps, and plows ahead for about 9 yards. And for a bigger guy, very agile on his feet, able to make that juke move nicely.
Well, he really reads his blocks well, and as a running back, when you're running to the side, you're taught on this play to get to the outside and then follow your receiver's blocks. And right there, a couple missed blocks, but he made some cuts and created something out of nothing.
Little whoop move right there as he was finally brought down by Hamsha Nasser-Lenardine, a two-way player, a safety and a standout wide receiver. He's a two-sport athlete. Nasser-Lenardine has a offer in basketball from Hampton University. But he's just a junior, so a lot more growth for him. They go to the air over the middle, and nobody home that time. I think some miscommunication as Cagle was the deep man back there. And once again, Justin Nicholson, the closest man to the football. Stop me if you've heard that before tonight.
Well, you see the Wonders starting to open up the playbook and throw the ball deep and loosen up that defense. They're running the ball well, and that's creating opportunities in the passing games. They didn't connect on that play, but you can see the openings in the secondary.
Went to the air there, tried a deep ball on 3rd and 1. Is that just to try and get a first down, get a big play, knowing that you've got guys that can get you a yard?
Well, a lot of time in that situation, you want to take a shot when it's 2nd and short because you know you still have 3rd down to pick up that 1 yard, and you have confidence that your offense can pick it up. But right there, the defensive line of the Spiders really stiffened up and plugged up the hole and made nice tackles to no gain.
Yeah, guess who? It's Cam Blackwater was one of the guys in on that stop. Blackwater, the 3rd leading tackler last season for Concord. He had 77 tackles and 5 tackles for losses, up from that hybrid spot there in this 4-2-5 defense.
Well, the coaches talked about him, his ability to be a great tackler and fill the holes, and right there he read the play, and as a linebacker you want to go in when you see the play, you hit the hole as hard as you can and plug it up, and that's what he did right there.
It's Kevon Jacobs to punt it away here on 4th and 1. Playing the field position game here early as we're inside 100 seconds for the opening quarter, and whistles and maybe a timeout. Let's wait and see. Nope, delay a game. In this part of the field, right around the 30-yard line, does that delay of game hurt you as far as your kicker at all, Jay?
Well, yeah, Chris. I mean, any penalty where you have to go back, unless you're at around the 50-yard line, it's going to hurt you because it moves that unit that much further back, and you just give him the Spiders offense 5 more yards.
Jacobs gets off a booming kick here. Mazingo, fair catch called for and made at the 37.
But if you kick it like that, then it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt.
It's a good point. Get off a good kick like that and no harm, no foul, right? All right, so a couple of chances for Concord in that opening drive. Didn't punch anything home. What was the message if you're in the offensive huddle for Concord a couple minutes ago?
Well, if you're the seniors on Concord or the coaches, you've got to tell that offensive line to calm down and stay patient and listen to the snap count because there are too many penalties, too many holding calls. They're just a little bit too jumpy. So you got to get everybody to calm down, and then you have to start mixing up your play calls because that defensive line of the Wonders is really sitting back and pinning their ears for Black.
P.J. Hall, a nice gain on first down, gets about 5 or 6 yards. Anytime you can get 5 or 6 on first down, I think your offensive coordinator will be a happy man.
Well, it makes it such a manageable situation. You can really do a run or a pass if you're the play caller, and you can go deep and take shots down the field. And Hall right here, he's a tough inside runner, and a power play up the middle, he hit the hole, and he gets a couple extra yards after the defenders try and tackle him.
2nd and 4 now. Another handoff to Hall. Spinning off, tackler is out past the first down marker. It'll be a first down for the Spiders as they move the chains again.
Well, Chris, one thing you look for at a running back is the ability to run downhill, and once you get hit, to drag ball carriers. And Hall, he got hit, and he still had the ability to make a spin move and pick up a couple extra yards. And the hole's not always going to be there, but you've got to count on your running back to get a couple yards when there's nothing.
Yeah, and Hall came into the season not expecting to be the starting tailback, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, he now finds himself starting maybe the biggest game of the year for Concord. Play fake as Black has a man downfield. midfield. Throws it short and under through his receiver, trying to hit Ethan Wilder on the outside. Nothing between him and the end zone but some green grass. That ball just underthrown.
Well, miscommunication right there, and an opening down the field for the Spiders, but couldn't connect on that. Look for the coaches to see that and go back to that play later in this ball game.
Is that just a byproduct of now Concord has established the run and they can use the play action to go to the air?
Well, exactly, Chris. The defensive line of the Wonders is seeing that run and starting to respect it. They're expecting a run, and then once that play action fake comes in, it's so hard for that defensive line to be patient, those linebackers, because they all got sucked up.
Isaac Staten was right there as well, as that'll be shy of the first down. Another run by Hall, but it almost looked like with Staten underneath, they had Wilder deep, and Black just didn't know who he wanted to throw the football to.
Yeah, exactly. He saw both guys. He saw the miscommunication on the defense and kind of underthrew it there. But the running plays that Hall was able to establish have really calmed down the Spider offense and starting to get some momentum going to the second quarter.
A lot of momentum on both sides tonight. The Battle of the Bell, the 85th consecutive meeting between these two crosstown nemesis. The first 12 minutes highly entertaining. We'll see what the second quarter brings on the other side of this timeout. Done with one. It's A.L. Brown 7, Concord nothing on the Time Warner Cable Sports Channel Thursday Night Football Game of the Week. Black, play fake, gonna keep it. He's gonna be gobbled up in the backfield. Nice play that time on the outside by Howie, the middle linebacker. Also went on the stop was Barkley. We've called his name a couple of times, but Stephen Howie, who some have called the guy with maybe the best footwork on the team, showing it off right there.
Well, the defense just bolted into the backfield, and it looked like the Spiders had some confusion not knowing where they were supposed to go. They were in a jumbled bunch formation with everybody in the backfield, and looked like the running back didn't come on for the fake, so Black had to run it and got stuffed for a loss.
That's got to be frustrating for a head coach after coming out of the timeout between quarters, having so much time to harp on what you wanted to do, and then have a miscommunication like that. Cagle fields inside the 15-yard line and tries to reverse field. Cagle looking for a block and has the edge. Maybe a big return for Jalen Cagle. Cagle down the sideline and out near midfield.
And Chris, Cagle flipping the field position right there, starting out on the left side, then reversing field for the big gain on the return, going to the right. And Dominique Washington had the big block on the side to create that hole and showing his agility. Cagle right there faking out the defense or the cover unit of the Spiders and running down the sideline. He sees Washington getting ready to throw a block, and boom, Washington throws the block. Clears the path for Cagle for a big play by the return unit of the Wonders.
Probably a play there where the A.L. Brown coaching staff is going no, 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 yes, 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 as he got the corner. And now Cagle gets the carry. Cagle out close to a first down inside the 45.
Well, Cagle, you just love it when your returner seeing that there's going to be a big block setup for you, and he followed it perfectly, and then get the carry on the next play. He's had a good couple plays, Chris.
Cagle, a hybrid player, had 17 catches for 193 yards last season. Also toted the mail 93 times for over 600 yards. And in this ball game last year, had 13 rushes, Jay, for -4 yards. So totally reversing his fortune here early in this contest. Second and short. Johnson to the air, looking for someone downfield, going to tuck it and run, spinning off one man, but nice job there to stick with the tackle and make the stop by one of the defensive linemen. It was Nick Kelly, the 5'11 defensive back, up to make the hit.
Well, Johnson was running out there kind of in no man's land, and the coaches on the sideline, you could see how worried they were when your star quarterback's on the outside with no blockers in front of you and holding the ball out there a little bit. You just want him to get down and protect himself and protect the ball and live to fight another down.
A couple minutes have elapsed here in the second quarter. Big third down coming here for A.L. Brown. Third down, they call it 2, plus side of the 50, maybe 4-down territory here. If you don't get it, we'll see. It's McCoy. No need to worry about that. He fumbled the football. And I believe Concord falls on it at the 35. Let's wait and see. Concord saying they've got the football, and indeed they do. So once again, another costly turnover for A.L. Brown.
But McCoy charged through the middle of the line right there. Looked like he gave a stiff arm, and the ball popped out, and the Spiders fans are excited on their side, and McCoy just following his blockers, hit head on with the defense, and the ball popped out, and second turnover for the Wonders.
I believe that was Kelly who got his hand on the football. We saw Nick Kelly make the stop and hold on for dear life a moment ago. Makes another nice stop there. Good field position for Concord as they start from their own 35. Black with a bootleg and tosses one downfield. It's bobbled and caught. Hauling that one in was Hamsha Nasser-Lenardine, his first catch of the ball game. Had 20 catches a year ago for 217 yards.
With that size, being 6'4", 200 pounds, such a big target on the outside, and somebody that Black's looking to early in this ball game. And you can see the coaches starting to get Black out on the perimeter, get him moving, and change the pocket.
Nasser-Lenardine has been a starting wide receiver since his freshman season. He's a junior now for Concord, and maybe an under-the-radar type guy for the Spiders. Movement up front, and that'll be a 5-yard infraction on A.L. Brown as big number 90, Dantrell Barkley, jumped a little bit early. And that'll give the Spiders a fresh set of downs out across the 45-yard line. And there is a good look at C.C. Huntley, who trots off the field. And Huntley was a guy that Coach Newsom talked to us about in our conference call earlier this week. He said, I've got Huntley and some other sophomores that are going to be really good players, but I'm just worried about them getting to that level of being a solid player this early in the season.
Well, he's playing early and well tonight with the penalty right there. Just one of those young mistakes, jumping offside. But he's somebody the coaches highlight. We asked him who are some of the younger guys to look for, and he mentioned Huntley as one of his main guys.
Nearly intercepted there is Mazingo, the intended target. They'll set up a second down. There was Allison, the junior safety, on the near interception there for A.L. Brown.
Well, Chris, right now, if you're the Spiders offense, you've been given a couple opportunities. You've been in good field position, but you haven't been able to connect or really put a long drive together. If you're the offense right now, you have to get something going here on this drive and take advantage of the opportunities.
Second down and long. Little flip out for Mazingo, trying to make something happen. And he's close to the first down, will be about a yard shy as he's finally driven out of bounds. Initial hit made once again by Allison there on the sideline.
But Chris, we see so many of these players. Mazingo is one of them, playing both ways, and it really takes so much conditioning, but also mental effort to play both sides, know your playbook. And with these kids out there, they're really playing so hard in a rivalry game with this heat. It's impressive effort by everybody out there.
Quick flip out to Mazingo, who did the work after the catch.
Well, he's done some damage on the outside with those quick passes from Black and just showing his athleticism and following his blockers.
Cagle also in on the stop that time, the do-everything guy for A.L. Brown on offense and defense so far. Fresh set of downs across the 45. Black, who's receiving some interest from several 1A and 1AA schools, or FBS and FCS, to use the proper term, hands it away up the middle, and not much doing for P.J. Hall as he tries to squirm ahead, but is wrapped up by Cameron Rogers, who was there to make the initial hit. Just a 1-yard gain will bring up second down. And, you know, two different style running backs tonight. You've got Hall for Concord, who's kind of the quicker, smaller guy, and then McCoy, the bruiser for A.L. Brown.
Well, it's interesting to see how the coaches use them and kind of how they diagram plays. And for McCoy, they use him on the outside, and Hall, they're punching him right down the middle because that's where his strength is.
From the pistol, second down. Well, a flea flicker as Black goes for the home run ball. Double covered and caught at the goal line. It's Nasser-Lenardine at the 1.
And Chris, we see the first trick play in a game like this. You know that both coaches have something in their back pocket with the flea flicker right there. Black with the beautiful throw, almost converting for the touchdown, putting on the 1-yard line. Great throw and catch.
Showed his ups right here. You can see why he excels on the basketball court.
6'4", 200 pounds, such a great target and such long arms. And Black puts it up perfectly up in the air, just lofts it and going up for the catch over two defenders, really.
Yeah, mismatch out there, and most of the time when Nasser-Lenardine at 6'4" is matched up on a defensive back, he's going to have the advantage. Power formation here. Black fumbled the football and falls on it back shy of the 10-yard line. That was almost disastrous for the Spiders.
When you put yourself on the 1 yard line, then you get in the shotgun formation, you're really putting yourself back on the 5, and then there with the fumbled snap, they were lucky to get on top of that ball and save it. But here you're second down from about the 7 yard line. You've got to be able to find a way to convert on this and really 4 down territory.
But there was a flag on the play as well. We missed that as the referee, Steve Adams, signals that the infraction was on A.L. Brown. So no harm, no foul. The Spiders still have the ball at the 1 yard line. It may be a smart play here going under center to try and punch this one in. Black on the keeper. And it pinned on the spot, but I don't think he got it. He was mollywopped as soon as he tried to go around the right side.
Well, the Spiders running that quarterback sneak, and it looked like the Wonders were prepared for it, blocking up that defensive line and really plugging up those holes, because when you expect a quarterback sneak, you really bring the defensive line in closer with closer splits and have them close together, bring the linebackers in as well.
Do you go back to this play now?
Chris, well, with the field position they're at, you can run the quarterback sneak, but what you can do also is you can kind of do a delayed quarterback sneak or try to hand the ball off to the outside because everybody's jumbled up in the inside.
Another high snap. Black almost lost it, but fights ahead and gets in for a touchdown. Man. Again, almost disastrous. Another high snap. Somehow Black corralled it and made something out of nothing.
Well, with the snap right there, he had to kind of jump to the outside, and it kind of took him to the defender, but Black, with his agility, made him miss and took him to the outside, and he wiggled his way through just enough to get in for the touchdown. But it kind of worked out well there for the Spiders because the defensive pressure was coming up through the middle, and that snap that was a little bit air and brought him to the outside and gave him some running room.
Marissa James, the 5'11 junior, on for the extra point. And yes, Marissa, she is a girl, a place kicker for this Concord squad. A season ago, 84% in point after touchdowns. Flags come in. Kick is good, but I don't think this one's going to stay in. Some motion up front, and James may get another shot at this one. She was last year when she kicked an extra point in this game, she was the first female to score a point in the 86-year history of this rivalry.
Well, such an honor for her, and just her ability. Last year had a great year kicking, and going into this year, so much expected of her. And Coach Padgett talked about her range and going all the way out to 35, 37 yards. He feels comfortable. So just shows the type of athlete she is. And Chris also as well playing soccer.
Yeah, the goalkeeper for the soccer team last season had a 2.6 goal against average. And, oh, by the way, pitched 4 shutouts on the pitch for the Spider soccer team. Somewhere, or maybe be a talented soccer player. She'll have to re-kick here as it was a false start called against Concord. So right now, it's still a 1-point game in favor of A.L. Brown, and a little bit longer of an extra point here. About a 25-yard extra point for James. And that one is up and good. No harm, no foul there, as we are knotted up at 7 with 6:32 left to be played in the first half. And finally, Concord takes advantage of a miscue by A.L. Brown.
Well, Black right here with the wild snap, with the fake to Hall. His ability to get to the outside and make something out of nothing is really what propelled himself into the end zone. And just again, showing his quickness and his dual threat ability, putting his team on the board. And it took a while for the Spiders to score there, but they finally mustered up a drive and got some momentum and matching that first drive of the Wonders coming out of the gate, getting on the board. So both teams are even right now, Chris. It's really about adjustments and who can kind of get the momentum going into the second half.
Well, Aaron Summers has got more on Marissa James. Aaron?
As Marissa James, she is the place kicker, and she kicks the extra points here for Concord. She is the only girl to ever score a point in this rivalry game, with a couple points last season. She also plays on the women's soccer team. She's had 4 shutouts, 181 saves in goal. She's a phenomenal athlete, and obviously helping the Concord Spiders here tonight.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much. Look forward to your reports as we continue on tonight. And end-over-end kick by Trott. It'll be Cagle who has a chance to return. Made a big play a moment ago as juking guys and out across the 35, pushed ahead to the 40-yard line. Huge play and another huge return for A.L. Brown.
Well, Cagle following his front line right there, and Sandon McCoy on that first wall with a huge block that the fans were all cheering about because they saw the defender fly up in the air because of McCoy creating that lane for Cagle to run through for putting his offense in good field position at the 40-yard line.
So now if you're A.L. Brown, have some progress and some momentum offensively. The fumble might have thwarted that. What's the message now?
Well, the message right now is, hey, let's go back to running the ball, protect the football, and let's get a drive going because our defense has been out on the field for most of the second quarter.
Split backs. Fake. Johnson keeps it spinning and spun down at the 40-yard line. No gain that time. Couple of guys converging on the stop. First time we've called Des Scott's name tonight. We talked about him in the open. 4-year defensive starter, had 69 tackles a year ago and was an all-conference performer.
One of the stars of that defensive line, Scott, 320 pounds, but has quickness as well. And this Wonders offense and Coach Newsom, they need to try to get this ground game established so if they can go back to that play-action pass or the success they had on that first drive.
Spreading the field here with 4 wide. 3-step drop. Little slant pass is incomplete. Trying to hit Washington, and the defender arrived almost at the same time. Some of the A.L. Brown fans maybe wanted to flag, didn't get it. Just a good, hard defensive play that time.
Well, Johnson going back in the pocket and trying to hit Washington on a 12-yard curl route and throwing it in a tight window that got broken up. But really for this offense, their bread and butter is that running game, the play-action pass. Right there's a drop-back pass, but you could see that the defense for the Spiders are playing in their lanes and playing in their position and not biting for any run fakes.
3rd down and 9. Big chance for this Concord defense to get off the field and maybe keep the momentum with them. Delayed handoff, and a flag stops the play. It was thrown by the official on the far side of the field. Our head linesman, Perry Clark, threw the flag, and now Steve Adams will back A.L. Brown up 5 more yards. So you go from 3rd and 9 now to 3rd and 14. How does the play call change, if at all?
Well, it makes it tough for the offense. And right now, if you're the Spiders defense, you've got to be prepared for the screen pass. If you're the defensive line, if you see the offensive line make it easy for you to get in the backfield and start releasing, you've got to be careful because when you're in this situation, it's hard to connect on a deep pass. So a lot of times play callers will throw the screen, or also, too, they could just throw seam routes and try to hit a wide receiver deep.
5:43 to play, first half. Johnson rolls out, just trying to pick up some kind of positive yard. And, man, didn't get a whole lot there. And a dangerous play to have Johnson roll out like that and get hit hard from behind. It'll bring up 4th down.
Well, the coaches right there look like they're playing it safe. Didn't want to put the ball in the air and letting Johnson see if he can somehow pick up a first down. And going out to the outside, Chris, it is putting him in a tough position because you can see there's no blockers there blocking in front of him. And he's really trying to zigzag in and out of 3 or 4 Spiders defenders. And as Johnson's running the ball, he really has to make sure he does a good job protecting the football because they're all going to try to strip him once he gets into open field.
Landon Laukus there on the stop as Jacobs will get off another booming kick. Chases Mazingo back near the 10-yard line, and he'll have a return. Mazingo, we're trying to reverse field and get up across the 20-yard line and talk about making something out of nothing. Carter Mazingo out across the 25, and a late flag comes in, and this might be for a late hit as there is a A.L. Brown player down to the right of your screen. Maybe a late block or a low block, and the helmet off, and looks like that's Caleb Hall, a defensive end, and he's also the long snapper for the Wonders. And he's holding his neck, maybe some sort of horse collar or a high hit. Our officials talking about it, and we'll see if we can get a replay here in just a couple of minutes to see exactly what happened. Hall, he's chatting with the trainer right now.
Was Mozingo was running back and forth and making his cuts. Once he catches the ball, he starts to run up. Then he takes a couple steps backwards, and he picks up his yardage. And then big Des Scott, number 72, you'll see coming to your screen with the huge block right there. And that was the big shot right there. And when 320 pounds is coming at you, that's a train coming at you hard. That's tough to get up from.
But it looked to me like he did get him from behind, though, looking at the replay. So probably an obvious block in the back.
Yeah.
And that will negate the solid return there by Mazingo, who tried to do his best Cagle impression from the other side of the field.
Well, it's so hard when you're one of those guys downfield blocking because you see a big block coming, but you always have to remember you have to hit them from the front because otherwise the referees, that's an easy call for them to make in the open field if they see somebody getting hit from behind.
Another look at it from a different angle. And there's the hit from behind right there. I think if it were me and I saw Big Des Scott running at me, I would just fall down.
I would duck. Yeah, I would take consequences from the coaches later on film when they ask you why you fell down.
Self-preservation.
I would say I was trying to feel better tomorrow.
Coach, I want to be at film study tomorrow. I don't want to be anywhere else.
Coach, I don't want to be in the training room.
That's right. So penalty backs them up 15 yards as the foul occurred at the 25. They're back to the 10 now. Full house backfield, the power pistol, if you will. Hall gets the carry, spinning off one man, and has a little shimmy move out across the 20, and will move the chains after a pickup of 11.
Chris, Hall looks just like a natural running back. This is really his first time seeing extensive action on that side of the ball, but he's reading his holes, reading his blockers, and once he gets through there, he's either trying to run through the defenders or with his nice spin move, he's picking up extra yardage for his offense.
Not quite hurry-up time here, I don't guess, for Concord. They've got 2 timeouts in 4.5 minutes.
Well, this is kind of that 4-minute drill that the teams practice. It's kind of the in-between from the 2-minute and then having enough time. And what you kind of want to do is you want to keep a nice pace, but you also want to go at a quick enough speed where you can run down the clock so the Wonders don't get the ball back, also while moving down the field and giving yourself enough time as well.
Black lowers his head and gets a couple extra yards, finally sent down by Kasim Black, the defensive back, a 5'9" senior, one of the team captains for A.L. Brown, as he made the stop on it, the quarterback after a pickup of about 5 yards.
Well, here, when you can pick up 5 yards on first down, it's such a great, manageable position for the offensive play calling staff for the Spiders because they can mix the run and the pass, and it really, for the most part, puts the defense on their heels.
Second and short. Handoff to Hall. That play took a little bit of time to develop, and he only got a yard. Nice job to sniff that one out by the A.L. Brown defense, and you could just see the delayed handoff there coming and very easy to read.
Yeah. And the Wonders are starting to rotate their defensive line, try to keep guys as fresh as possible because of their depth issues on that side of the ball. And that's something that going into the second half, we're going to have to keep a close eye on is that depth because they've been out on the field for the majority of this first half so far, Chris.
Third down, we'll call it 2 to go. 3:10 left first half. Black gets the snap. And a flag flies in from the opposite sideline. Looks like this one might go against Concord. It don't in front of me, but I'd be interested to see the number of penalties for the Spiders here in this first half. Oh, but it's caught against A.L. Brown. I saw them moving up front. I missed the A.L. Brown player jumping, and this will give the Spiders a fresh set of downs.
Was right on the outside. The blitzing safety from the Wonders came off and I believe jumped offside right there and picking up the first down. It's a big play, big penalty right there, creating momentum. And Chris, looking at the clock right now, 2:58. This is a situation where the Spiders have to start picking up the pace just a little bit to make sure they give themselves enough time as they drive down the field.
2 timeouts for each side as Black goes short. Pass is caught by Yos, the tight end, who gets down to the 40-yard line. A big first down there as they go back to the air, and Drew Yost, who only had 14 catches last year, comes up big that time.
Well, Yost looking to have a big senior season, and the coaches talked about his ability to catch the ball and how well his hands are. And playing baseball, you can see that going down the middle with a big catch, picking up a first down for his offense, and Black and him being a couple of the returning starters on the offense, have a chemistry. Nobody covering him. Cagle with the missed tackle, and Yost picking up the extra yardage after the defenders hit him.
A baseball player, 255 hitter, 3 home runs, 5 doubles, and 10 RBI a season ago for the Spiders on the diamond. Back to the ground, it's Hall again for a couple of yards. And finishing up the thought on Yost quickly, also pitched a little bit for the Concord baseball team. 2-2 record and a 3.08 ERA. A 6'3", 230-pound senior, and a guy who's doing it all. And we told you earlier, a lot of two-sport guys on the field tonight.
Well, both coaches really endorse playing multiple sports and staying active during the off season and really competing, and that's great to see that these kids have interest and can play and are talented enough to play multiple sports.
Second and long. Mozingo on the bubble screen. Shakes one man and has some room on the outside and will be, I think, just a little bit short of the first down marker. One of the few times we've seen that arrow screen or bubble screen tonight from Concord.
Mozingo getting out of bounds right there and preserving the clock and helping his offense put in a 3rd down and 2 situation.
We saw, as we look at the replay, another look at the arrow screen or bubble screen, whatever you want to call it here.
But just on the replay, they're starting to hit him on the outside repeatedly now, and he's following his blockers, and that's so hard as a wide receiver because you just want to catch it and run, but he's staying patient on the outside and reading his blocks.
3rd and 1, they try a quarterback sneak, but the offensive line moving a bit too fast for the quarterback, and this may put him in a 3rd down and medium as a procedure penalty whistled against the Spiders. So from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6, I imagine the play call changes drastically here.
Well, it changes a little bit because right there you're going to predict a run call. Now it's a little bit too far for the run, but in this situation, looking at the clock, 1:36, is this 4-down territory? So that's what the coaches have to ask themselves, because if it is, you could really go with 2 running plays or you could try to pick it up through the air.
2 timeouts for Concord and 82 seconds for the half. Black, pocket collapsing, in trouble and gonna be sacked. Well, pick a player that time. The first man to run up and grab him was Stephen Howie. He was one of a triumvirate of defensive players who came up to make the stop.
That defensive line really got pressure, and at the perfect time on 3rd down when they needed a stop, they came up big for their defense and putting them in the backfield, getting Black right here, the pressure coming up the middle, looking at his targets, and it had nowhere to go with it, and then a swarm of defenders coming over for him with a big sack.
It was Howie who got there. You could also give a half tackle, I guess, to Sandon McCoy, who's doing a little bit of everything. And a timeout on the field called by A.O. Brown with 49 seconds to play. That's the 2nd timeout called by the Wonders, so they have 1 timeout left for the final 49 ticks of the clock.
4th and here, 49 seconds. So the Spiders want to get in their punt formation, make sure they secure the ball, and try to get hang time in there to push the Wonders back onto the far side of the field, giving them as little time as possible to drive going into the halftime.
If you're A.O. Brown here, do you try and set up the block, I mean, this close to midfield, or do you actually set up for a return?
I would set up for the block, because you figure if they get it off, you're not going to be able to get a return anyways because of the hang time. So with the ball being close to midfield, if you can get a block and either scoop and score or recover it near midfield, you're giving yourself plenty of time with about 50 seconds left.
And we've seen Black get off some good kicks tonight from a punt situation. They are going to bring the house. Cagle back deep just in case, and this one is just away. But maybe partially blocked, as that'll take a sideways bounce out of bounds at the 30-yard line.
Black was lucky to get that off and get it down far enough where it's still putting the defense in a good field position going into half.
Before A.L. Brown takes the field, let's go down to Aaron for an injury update. Aaron?
Chris, Caleb Hall went down a few plays ago. He was grabbing his left shoulder, kind of the collarbone area. The trainers have been looking for a few minutes. Coach come by and ask. He's in a little bit of pain. They've gone through the concussion. A hard hit, but they have wrapped his left shoulder in ice there, and it doesn't look like he'll be coming back in the game tonight.
Okay, Aaron, thanks a lot. Appreciate that report. Fumbled snap, and Concord falls on it at the 25. The 3rd turnover of the night for A.L. Brown. Wow.
Well, Chris, right now, A.L. Brown came out to a fast start, but the other key was the turnovers, the third turnover on the night, and that's the most important thing right here going into half is protect the football. And the ball handling right now has just been a little bit sloppy for the Wonders, and the Spiders being on the spot, taking advantage and picking up the turnover here. Now still 37 seconds left to do some damage and try to get on the board before half.
And 2 timeouts also for the Spiders. Remember, they get the football to open up the second half of play as well, so a score here will be monumental. Punch one in and a chance to go up by maybe a couple of scores to start the third quarter. Black going to take off and run right up the gut and wisely slides down inside the 15-yard line. Clock will stop to move the chains inside of 30 seconds.
Well, Chris, he just ran right up the middle, and the defenders were looking for him to pass, kind of swarming from the outside. He saw the lane in the middle, and that wasn't a called draw. He just saw it, and then he ran and picked up a huge first down. See right there, that wasn't a called play. That was just an open lane and him ad-libbing and making something happen, and that's what a senior leader does. He looks on the outside, runs the play, but then makes the most of his opportunity.
They can achieve a first down inside the 5. Black stumbling and is sacked. Driven to the turf by Elijah Hall, the 6-foot defensive end, his first sack of the night. And down goes a Kannapolis player, but there's also a timeout called by Concord. So the Spiders also have 1 timeout left for the final 9 seconds. As we first check on the injured Wonder player, appears just to be a cramp. I mean, very humid, very muggy today. High only around 88, 89, but it felt more like 97, 98 with the humidity. Just a thick field tonight, early season. Want to make sure you stay hydrated.
Oh, exactly, Chris. And the trainers always talk about hydrating during the week. You can't do it the night before the game. And still with this humidity, even if you do hydrate, you're always going to see guys go down the first couple weeks of the season because of that hot weather.
All right, so now as the player getting attended to there at about the 20-yard line, 9 seconds left. What's the play call here for Concord? You got 1 timeout. Do you try something on the sideline to get the first down and at least try and get yourself closer for the field goal kicker?
Well, you've got 1 timeout, so you have a little bit of ability to throw the ball down the middle, and if it's stopped before you go to the end zone, you can call the timeout. But with Black in the backfield here, he's got the ability to not only throw it, as we've seen on his touchdown pass, to run it as well. But right there, too many Wonders defenders in the backfield, and they're swarming them as well.
While the player's still down, we'll go down to Aaron, who's got some more information on the quirkiness and differences of Kannapolis Memorial Stadium. Aaron?
Are looking at Plummer's Perch. Buster Plummer used to play football here for A.L. Brown back in the late 60s, and after he stopped playing, he decided he wanted to keep watching some football. So he built a porch and he took in the games for free. The school didn't take too kindly to that, so they put up a fence. They built shrubs there and tried to keep him from watching the game. He just built his little porch higher and higher, and now it is quite the spectacle at the games. They shoot off their score and quietly nice lit with some LED lights up there, and they have a great view of.
All right, Aaron, thanks. When we're not working, Jay, I want to go see a game up at Plummer Sports.
I want to go hang out up there.
That's a cool place to hang out. Timeout over. This play blown up, little flick pass to the outside. It's caught, and maybe a first down as the clock will stop with 2 seconds left. Pass was hauled in that time by Isaac Staten inside the 10-yard line. Second catch for Staten tonight, and Concord will call their final timeout. Here's the replay.
Well, Black with the pressure coming up right there and throwing the ball out to the flat, and luckily enough for the Spiders, still 2 seconds left on the clock.
So you're out of timeouts, 2 seconds left. If you're the head coach, Glenn Pageant, for Concord, are you gutsy and take a shot, or do you play it safe and trot your field goal kicker on?
Well, it depends on how aggressive you want to be, but with this ball being at the 9-yard line, you're in field goal range with Marissa James, so I think you've got to give yourself some momentum going into half, get 3 points on the board, and give yourself a lead being 10-7.
A 27-yard field goal attempt or so from right here. Not much more than an extra point. Remember, she kicked a longer extra point after the penalty a couple of minutes ago. But the ball being on that right hash, it depends on the angle, I guess, for her, too, if she's a right-footed kicker versus a left-footed kicker.
Well, it is on that right hash, and they're bringing the offense out, so look for a passing play.
I think they are going to
they are bringing James out, yep.
James only hit 1 field goal last year. She was 1 of 2. Only one she made, though, was from 33 yards. This to give the Spiders a halftime lead. Snap is down, and before the kick was blocked, but the play was whistled dead before she kicked it. A flag flew, and let's see who the infraction is called upon. Called upon the Wonders of A.L. Brown. Wow. So give her a few extra yards and another chance to get one off.
Well, a penalty is starting to creep up in this ball game and really make a difference, moving her up there, negating the last play and making it easier for her, almost really an extra point here, Chris.
One snap left. They want to put some time back on the clock, I believe. I think they're going to try and put around 2 seconds on the clock. Right now the scoreboard said 0.4 of a second, so now they reset it to 2 seconds. So a chance for a snap and a kick, and a chance once again for Concord to take the lead into the halftime break. For A.L. Brown, they'll try and run after this again and get the block. Snap. Kick, low line drive, partially blocked, and no good. Well, how about that for a first half, partner?
Well, the defensive pressure from that defensive line created that missed kick. Both teams going into half tied 7-7. Great ball game, Chris.
A.L. Brown able to survive a bevy of turnovers from their offense. 3 turnovers from the Wonders in the first half. But fortunately for them, they're deadlocked in a 7-all tie. And before we begin our halftime coverage, let's head back down to the field. Aaron Summers with a very special guest. Aaron?
Thanks, Chris. Here with North Carolina High School Athletic Association.
Rain starting to fall here at Kannapolis Memorial Stadium in the 86th Battle for the Bell. This game has seen all kinds of things over its 86-year tradition. Aaron Summers put together a nice piece on the history of this rivalry, and we're going to show that to you right now.
Three, two, one. This will be the play of the game.
When it comes to high school sports in the Tar Heel State, nothing compares to the Battle of the Bell.
It's a huge rivalry game, biggest rivalry game in the state of North Carolina. I don't care what anybody tries to say or what anybody says about it, but this game just takes rivalries to a whole nother level.
Since the inaugural game in 1931, friendships are put on hold and lines are drawn. You're either green and white or black and gold.
When we step foot in the K-Town area, you're going to hear a lot of boos, and you're going to see a lot of green and white. There's not no black and gold.
It's ingrained in the fabric of their lives, stamped into their DNA.
Well, I first started going to the game in 1973. First game was at Concord. We beat Concord 7-3 that night. I was brought up from my parents at a very early age what this rivalry was all about, and I picked a side and I haven't crossed since.
I've been around this game for about 16 years. It's in my family, it's in my blood.
It's just K-Town and Concord rivalry. And when you was little, you always want to play in this big game.
Concord won the first game 13-0, and the Spiders hold a 42-34 advantage over the Wonders. In 1950, the Victory Bell added another layer to the rivalry and made it about more than just bragging rights.
You know, the bell was given to both communities in 1950 from Norfolk Southern, and I think it was Harry Potter that said it would be good for the team to be able to ring the bell, whoever won. It would be show of good sportsmanship.
Taken by the victor and painted in their colors, everyone wants the bell on their side.
Speaking as an old-timer from Kannapolis, the bell means everything to me.
We want the bell back. We haven't had it. I haven't had it since my freshman year. I haven't seen it. So getting that bell will be really important to me.
That means a lot. You know, if we keep the bell here, I mean, it'll be the 4th time in a row. This is it, so we got to go out with a big bang.
It's about 2 communities separated by just 6 miles, whose fan bases exude extreme passion.
We've had letter C burned in our field. Concord's had letter K burned in their field. There's been graffiti painted on buildings and things like that.
You come outside every day and you see CHS 4P on our wall, and it just makes you go the extra mile because you don't want them to 4P. They're not going to 4P.
But behind the competitive fire is a wealth of respect.
And even though, you know, it's a battle, and it's a true battle in between the lines, once it gets off those lines, you know, the respect that's there makes it what it's all about.
86 battle for the bell. A lot of big moments in this rivalry, and it looks like we're setting up for another fantastic finish tonight. Umbrellas are out, and we're coming back with the second half after this on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
And Chris, the Wonders connect again for the second time on a dig route by Washington. Johnson throws a strike right across the middle, and Washington just shows his speed. I mean, that's all it was. Once he caught the ball, he eluded the defenders and ran away with it for a big touchdown for his team.
And it goes back to establishing the run, which is what A.L. Brown did on this drive, Jay. And when you see the replay, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Is Johnson, I thought, did a nice job freezing Baker there in the backfield, having to respect the run.
Well, Baker didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know if it was a screen pass, so he kind of stuttered, and then Johnson's ability to run froze him there with the extra point, making it 14-7 now for Brown. A big drive, big completion, and a big touchdown for this Wonders offense.
Fire the cannon again. The Wonders up by 7, and here's the replay and what we were talking about.
Know what to do with a little block coming in at the last second. The dig route, about 12-yard dig by Washington coming across the middle. That's a tough route to run, and he caught it in stride. A perfect strike from Johnson and took it into the end zone. And second touchdown of the ball game. What a game he's having.
Yeah, final time that Washington will play in the battle for the bell, and he's making the most of his ultimate opportunity. Plummer's Perch, they're fired up literally over there tonight.
Well, the whole Brown fan base has been interjected from that touchdown. This capacity crowd has been energized, and with the lead, they can see their team getting momentum.
So now if you're Concord, down by 7, and maybe the momentum shifting toward A.L. Brown, but if you're Coach Padgett, you got to remind your guys, hey, we're just down by 7, and we've had success moving the football.
It's only one possession ball game, still plenty of time, but what you want to do is calm your team down, try to get the running game established again. It's so imperative that both teams have that running game so they can use the play-action pass at their disposal with the talented outside receivers they have in Nasruddin, Mazingo for the Spiders, and also Washington for the Wonders.
Mazingo has been the playmaker on special teams so far tonight for Concord. You wonder if maybe these teams will start kicking it away from the deep guys. We'll wait and see. As the fans have a lot to cheer about on the A.L. Brown side. I wish someone would make a big giant head of me. How fun would that be?
I think they should do that for tomorrow's ball game.
Short kickoff, as we thought might happen. It was a fair catch signaled and made. John Nash will haul in the kickoff shy of the 30-yard line, and back to work goes Black in the Concord offense. Be nice to see someone have a giant Jason Halter head in the crowd somewhere.
Well, I think maybe what we should do is just go to Staples, create a design, go to Staples tomorrow, and then just leave it out in the stands, hoping that somebody from the student section will pick it up and put it up, and then we can get them on TV.
Great way to get on TV. Another great way to get on TV or get on Instagram or Twitter and tweet us, and we'll retweet your stuff. Send us pictures from all the games of the week this year. From the 29. Bubble screen out for Mazingo, who stutter steps and gets about 5. Lot to smile about for those fans tonight. Students out in droves. School starts on Monday. I'm sure that's not even in the peripheral of these kids. They're thinking about tonight. Who cares about Monday?
All they're worried about is the bell and celebrating a hopeful victory. And I have a feeling if they win, they're going to celebrate once school starts and for the rest of the week.
Absolutely. Sherrod Sutton down on the far side of the field appears like a cramp. And a lot of times we'll see officials, especially in the first couple of weeks of the season, almost grant essentially media timeouts, but they're not media timeouts. They're just stoppages in play, official timeouts to give both teams a chance to go to the bench and hydrate. You'll see Sutton here, who makes the tackle, or is coming off the block. He made the tackle and then went down with the cramp right there.
Yeah. Well, the referees are all in this together, and they have coaching sessions themselves throughout the summer, and they're kind of coached on, how to approach the games and when to give the side each team's breaks, and when there's an injury timeout, the first thing is the health of the players out on the field. So it's better to be extra cautious and careful than start the game up too quickly.
Concord picked again, Jay, to win their conference. The South Piedmont Conference won the league last year with a perfect 8-0 record, and picked by many to be the top cat in the conference again this year, based on what you've seen for the first 2+ quarters. Agree with that assessment?
Yeah, well, I think they have a lot of potential and a lot of talent coming back, and I've seen a lot of good things. It's, really, with this ball game, it's a rivalry game. It doesn't matter how well you play or don't play. It's really coming out of here with a win. And then the biggest thing is, once you play that first game, is seeing the mistakes you make and trying to make a big jump in game 2.
A nice look at the cheerleaders as they're hanging out. A lot for them to cheer about tonight. They joined Aaron in our pregame show earlier today. Back to the action. Second down. Dump pass toward the chains is caught, and that should move the sticks for Concord. Rogers ran the receiver out of bounds. Looked like it was Yost, the tight end, who hauled in another catch.
Yost with his 3rd catch of the ball game, showing his ability to get downfield with the nice hands and being a viable weapon for Black. When you're a tight end and you're so big and tall like that, it's tough to catch those low balls, but he showed his athleticism getting down for that.
4 wide again for the Spiders. Pocket collapsing for Black, maybe trying to improvise. Going to tuck it and run and get 2 yards. Used the sideline as his ally that time. Scampered out and just got a couple of yards, trying to make second down more manageable.
Well, such a smart play by him, rolling out, and he could have thrown the ball away, but that would have brought it back to the line of scrimmage. So getting out of bounds, he's protecting himself and picking up a couple yards. That's really showing his senior leadership and his experience he has being a 3-year starter.
2nd and 10, they give him no gain. 4 wide again for the Spiders. And a bobbled snap, a flag flies in. A.L. Brown thinks they've caused their first turnover of the night. Let's wait and sort out all the confusion here. Officials are conferring. First, my question is, who has the football? And here comes Steve Adams to give us the word. Legal procedure caught against Concord. And I guess the Spiders got the football back, so it's just a 5-yard infraction. It makes it 2nd and 15. Here's the replay. Well, the center maybe had the ball slip out of his hand, Jay.
Well, Chris, we talked about the turnovers for the Wonders. Well, these penalties for the Spiders are really kind of equalizing things. That's about their 10th penalty so far in this ball game, and that's really just hurting your field position and stalling each offensive drive.
Hall gets a couple of yards around the outside. And now 3rd down and long, as once again Concord finds themselves behind the chains. Really impressed with Hall tonight. I think he's got the pedigree to be a pretty important part of this offense down the stretch and as the season progresses.
Well, he's going to be a key cog for them, not only on defense, where he excelled last year being an all-conference performer, but on offense tonight he's shown his versatility.
All day for Black on 3rd and long. And Black going to get about 4 there, but well shy of the marker. Was tripped up and just slid down. The closest man to him was Dantrell Barkley, but it's 4th down.
Well, Chris, again, right there, Black looking around, not having anywhere to go. Nasruddin was double covered, but important for him is getting down and not turning the football over, because that's a dangerous situation when you see your quarterback running outside the pocket.
Do you feel like Black maybe doesn't go through his progressions? He looks for a couple of guys and then realizes nobody's open, and he maybe runs quicker than he probably should?
Well, I think that's one of the biggest learning curves for high school quarterbacks and even college quarterbacks, is seeing your number 1 or your number 2 target, and if they're covered, not progressing down the field and hitting your safety outlet. And that's one thing that coaches continually try to teach, is scanning the field, and if you see all of your options are covered, then you can run the ball, but not just picking one option, is keeping your eyes locked downfield and then running, because that's when you you start to create opportunities that go by the wayside because you're not seeing your open receivers.
A.O. Brown calls a timeout with 5:15 to go here in the third quarter. They were going to get a legal procedure or a legal substitution penalty because they had too many guys on the field. Here's a great look at it. You can see on the right-hand part of your screen, you can see Cagle motioning for someone to get off, and Mike Newsom, aware of that, called the timeout to avoid the penalty, which would have made it 4th and 2 and more favorable for Concord.
Well, it's always the punt returner or the kickoff returner's job to count how many guys are in front of him. So there's 11 guys on the field at once, so he has to count 10 guys across the line. Right there, Cagle saw he had 11 teammates out on the field trying to tell them to get off the field, but not able to do it early enough in time.
Well, if you're A.L. Brown, you hope that having to call that timeout doesn't come back to hurt you at the back end of this ball game, and a nip-and-tuck affair here tonight in Kannapolis. Black on to punt, Cagle to return. Short kick, and Cagle saying run away from it. Oh, and it takes a fortuitous hop there for A.L. Brown. Wish I could get my wedge shots to check up like that. If I could do that on the golf course, I'd be down in Greensboro at the Wyndham. I wouldn't be here with you.
You'd be on TV. You'd be on TV playing out there. Unfortunately for me, I just hope it doesn't go in the woods. I just want it in the fairway or on the green. I don't even hope for the bounce or the spin on the ball.
I've got that Army golf.
You're far more advanced than me.
I've got that Army golf. Left, right, left, right.
Okay.
A chance now for A.L. Brown to add to their 7-point lead. They go under center. And a single wing, little misdirection, designed quarterback run. Johnson gets no gain. A couple of guys in on the stop. One of the first men to hit him that time was big number 12, Nick Kelly, who was one of the first guys to get there. Gave him a yard, maybe a generous spot. It's 2nd and 9. Under center again. This time Cagle up the sideline and pushed forward by Mike Baker for a couple extra yards. 3rd down and medium, and again going back to that up-tempo under center offense.
Yeah, it's really starting to feed the ball to Cagle. He's had success on that right side right there, picking up a big chunks of yardage. Another penalty, Chris.
I think that time A.O. Brown tried to go too fast. There's the marker, and the procedure against A.O. Brown. Coach Newsom not a fan of that call. He was out on the sideline protesting with Steve Adams, but to no avail. Third down, we'll call it 7. What's the play call here, partner?
Well, I'll tell you what, it would have been a lot better if your play call being 3rd and 2, 3rd and 7. You can give it to Cagle. He's picked up a couple big 3rd down, long distance, but looks like they're going to give it to McCoy or fake it out to Johnson here.
Johnson trying to make something happen. He's in no man's land and trying to create, and probably would be better served just to fall down and take his losses and live to fight another day.
Well, you can tell this Spiders defense really worked and keyed on Johnson and his ability to run the ball. He hasn't been able to run loose here other than that first drive in the first quarter, and they're doing, again, a nice job tackling. And I've really been impressed by the tackling job of both teams, Chris, because that's one thing that's usually sloppy here at the start of the season. Both teams, there haven't been very many missed tackles.
Field position game here. And a chance for Jacobs, who has had some booming kicks tonight, as Johnson got some instruction from the coordinators. Flag in, kick is away, and this one will roll dead at the 15-yard line, but let's wait for the flag. Somebody might have been offside. And you almost expect a little bit of sloppiness early in the season, don't you, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, you expect it. It's almost like with those keys to the game, it's almost like who's least sloppy, because you are expecting, especially with the inexperience on the Spiders on offense, you're expecting that to happen. It's just whoever can overcome those mistakes the best.
And it's a procedure penalty against A.L. Brown, so back the Wonders up 5 yards, and Concord going to make them re-kick and hopefully get better field position. Aaron Summers on the sideline sending us a report, Jay, that A.L. Brown having to stretch out multiple guys because of cramps said it's all guys with the lower numbers, the single digits that are cramping up. Probably because they're doing most of the work both ways, right?
All the wide receivers and DBs that are running around the field all the time.
Appreciate Aaron's reporting tonight. 4th down and 10 now with a couple of ticks under 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Low snap. Jacobs having to dig it out. Now he's just in no man's land trying to make something happen. A great field position for the Spiders. Not a turnover there, but a mental turnover almost for A.L. Brown.
Yeah, it's not going to go in the record books as a turnover, but in reality it is, Chris. I mean, you're turning the ball over without punting it, without flipping that field position. The Spiders are getting in great field position. Snap was a little low. Jacobs couldn't pick it up, and he just tried to hold on to it and get what he could. But that Spiders defense is really enabled with these turnovers to give the ball to their offense in great field position right at the 30-yard line.
Yeah, starting from the blue zone is Concord. See if they can punch one in here and knot the score up. Black from the pistol. Play fake. All day to throw. Now a little bit flush. Got a big block. And has some running room and slides down after a 2-yard gain. Thought he had a little more running room that time.
Running around a lot to the backfield, trying to keep his eyes downfield and slipping right there at the end. But with that running ability he has, it's so tough for this Wonders defense to keep their eyes on him with his ability to throw the ball as well. So they're running around, but also trying to contain him at the same time. And many of these guys have been out on the field, haven't had substitutes in. So we wonder how the depth's going to fare here going into this fourth quarter.
2nd and 9. 4 wide. All day for Black, looking downfield. Dumps it short, tipped and incomplete. Oh, it was almost intercepted that time, as A.L. Brown had an interception written all over it by Stephen Howie, but he couldn't come up with it.
Chris, Black had all day to throw that ball, and it was an errant throw on his part, but watching that play develop, the defensive line for the Wonders, there's literally no rush there. They're very tired, coming off the ball high and not getting any pressure. So you can see the wear and tear of this ball game, the time of possession for the Spiders starting to wear them down a little bit.
Another big 3rd down for Concord. Design quarterback rollout. Black has pressure, dumps it, bobbled, and caught. Wow. Nice job there by Nassau Nardine to hold on to the football. He'll still be shy of the 1st down in decision time for Coach Padgett.
Well, Chris, I think you're in the field position here where you've got to go for it because you're kind of in the middle of the field, no man's land, a little bit out of Marissa James lane. And, if you don't convert here, the Wonders are still going to get the ball at about the 23-yard line. So if you're down by a score, this is the time to be aggressive in this rivalry.
First time we've seen fans to their feet tonight. Wonder fans imploring their defense for a big stop on 4th down. Black trying to draw him offside with the hard count. And Concord will call a timeout. Their 2nd half.
Well, Coach Padgett right there called in. Every team has a play. It's kind of like called a dummy play where you try to get the team to jump offside. If they don't, you call the timeout. So the Wonders didn't jump, so now they're going to go back to the drawing board and figure out what they want to do on this 4th down play.
There was the near interception by Howie a moment ago, and you'll see the catch by Nassau Nardine here in just a moment as it's coming into your living room here.
And Black was trying to roll out and then do a fake back to the right, but his receivers wasn't open, so he threw the ball down the middle to Nassau Nardine and had the catch.
Well, that was another look at the interception, I beg your pardon. But great defense so far for A.L. Brown tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And Coach Newsome talked about his defense stepping up, and that's kind of the weakness of the team last year and how he felt this year. They're really going to be improved and be much better on that side of the ball, and he was right. They've come ready to play, only giving up 7 points to the Spiders offense and making big hits like that to Nassau Nardine and really playing fundamentally sound football.
One of the things he told us is during the offseason, the A.L. Brown coaching staff found a way to simplify the defense, make things easier for their kids so that they can get after it, especially the guys that play both ways. Don't try and give them too much to think about. 4th down. They bring the house. Dump pass is complete. And this one's going for a big gain inside the 10. And spun down is Ethan Wilder, the 6-foot senior, gets down to the 5. It's first and goal for the Spiders.
Excellent play call by Coach Padgett and his staff coming out of that timeout, rolling Black to the right, and then throwing the screen with the left tackle releasing, and Ethan Wilder coming up, slanting in, catching the ball, and picking up the big first down for the Spiders, continuing this drive.
How much did it help Concord that A.O. Brown was bringing a rush there?
Oh, it's beautiful. On that type of play, that screen pass, that's what you want. You want that defensive line, those linebackers to come on a blitz, because then that's creating even more open lanes once you throw the ball over top for the screen play.
Black, Hall up the middle, picking a hole. Extra effort, he stops short of the end zone. It'll be second and goal from the 1.
And Hall bringing the offense, inching closer to the goal line, almost able to carry into the end zone and coming up just a little bit short. And they're starting to pound the ball a little bit here, Chris.
Possibly the final play of the third quarter. Black keeps it, and he's in. Touchdown. Concord to within a point with the extra point pending as Black sneaks in for the second time this evening.
Black marching his offense down the field, and the Spiders fans are getting back into this ball game, answering the call from their offense and bringing their team closer together, heading into this fourth quarter. And really, even though there's been a lot of mistakes on both sides, what a great ball game, Chris. A great rivalry.
Swinging gate here by Concord, seeing that more and more at all levels of football. Really started in the collegiate ranks with those up-tempo spread offenses. And now James will try and tie the score. Snap is low. Flags are out. That's 3 flags now on this play. So obviously a pretty egregious infraction for everyone to spot it. Steve Adams and his crew have been busy tonight.
They have been throwing a lot of flags, and for the referees, they don't want to throw the flags, but when you have play calls like that, you know, you don't want to slow the ball game down, but when they're, to your words, egregious penalties where it's so evident and so out in the open, you've got to make the right call, and that's what they've done so far in this ball game.
9 seconds to go here in the third quarter, and Marissa James probably thinking, what do I have to do to get an easy extra point tonight? 2 fouls. Illegal participation on A.L. Brown. An illegal substitution, illegal procedure on Concord. So the fouls are going to offset, and they're going to retry the extra point.
So pretty much it's just a redo.
Yeah. Much to do about nothing. And James ready to attempt to even the score. Better snap this time. And again a flag. Somebody jumped early, and James may be backed up again.
Well, it's a lot of mental pressure on James and the kickers when they're standing out there. They just want to get out there, get in rhythm, kick their extra point or field goal, and move forward. But she's having to stand out there and kind of wait on both teams because there's been 2 plays where there's been penalties. So puts a lot of pressure on the kicking game.
It's an encroachment penalty this time on A.L. Brown. That's half the distance, so the ball would now be around the 1.5-yard line as opposed to the 3. Does that enter into the coach's decision, hey, I'm close enough, maybe just go ahead and go for it, or do you say, no, let's take the tie and we'll worry about the rest in the fourth quarter?
Well, I think in this type of ball game, you want to get tied up right here, and then you can look to be aggressive maybe in the fourth. But if you don't convert on 4th down, you're putting yourself 1 point behind, and you can't match up. And another penalty.
And the natives are getting restless. There's a good look at the Concord students. About 6 miles separate the 2 schools. Glenn Padgett, a perplexed look on his face as encroachment is caught against A.L. Brown. And if the Wonders encroach anymore, the ball will be in the end zone. This is about as close as you can get to the goal line with the ball not being in the goal line.
Once you get to like the 6-inch mark, then you do start to think about going to. it's one of those plays where it makes you second guess yourself whether to go for 2 or not.
And now Glenn Padgett wants a timeout. That's the second timeout called by Concord. So the Spiders have just 1 timeout left for the final 12 minutes and 9 seconds of this game.
Very valuable timeouts in a close ball game. So he wanted to call a timeout there and regroup his team. And maybe possibly he's thinking about going for 2 here. But those timeouts, as the time gets dwindled down here, Brown still has 2 and Concord has 1. Those become that much more valuable.
Glenn Padgett, as we told you, a veteran head coach. In his second stint with Concord, he was the Concord head coach from 1987 to 1998. Left, took several other jobs, including a stint at Salisbury and some other stops in the western part of our state. But back in Concord at 2010 and coaching guys like Keenan Black, who squirts in there to get the Spiders to within 1.
And Chris, we talked about earlier in that first half, running the quarterback sneak up the middle. The Wonders defensive line was putting pressure and really not creating any open running lanes for that offensive line to create for Black. So there, he just scored it to the right side and made it in on the end zone. And coming back out on the field here, they made a decision, it looks like, to go for 2, bring the offense back out on the field. So those penalties have changed the play calling for the Spiders and Coach Padgett.
From the 6-inch line, Black under center. Concord looking for the lead. Black has stood up and will depend on the spots. Officials in on the scrum, and he's in. Concord takes the lead.
And Chris, we see the elation from the Spider fans, and those penalties on the extra point attempts by the Wonders created that opportunity for the ball to be placed on the inch line mark there for the Spiders. And what a gutsy play call by Coach Padgett. It worked, it converted. They're being aggressive, and Black went in on the quarterback sneak to the left and had an extra surge just far enough to get in for the crucial 2 points there to put his team up by 1.
And I believe that should be an untimed down there, shouldn't it, Jay? So we still have 9 seconds left in the quarter. The scoreboard clock showing 0 is now a lot to celebrate for Concord as Black, watch this, just gets in.
The Black really had no room to operate right there, but with his big frame being 6'3", 210, somehow found a lane and pushed hard enough to get in and get the 2 points on the board. Really on that play, Chris, the refs, it was so hard to tell because it's such a big pile. The refs had to dive in there and make a quick, critical call because it was so hard to see because so many bodies are flying around.
How much, and you've been in those scrums, how much pulling and tugging goes on once the whistle's really blowing?
Oh, that's all that's going on. Everyone's pulling and tugging, and nothing down there is really legal because everybody knows the referees can't see, so they know this is their opportunity to get, any punches in or try to move the ball around, and, really that's just part of football.
Trot to kick it away with the Spiders spinning their web here in the third quarter and leading by the slimmest of margins. Pooch kick. Fair catch made inside the 30-yard line. It was Allison who waved for the fair catch. And time for a couple of plays here for A.L. Brown before the third quarter expires.
Well, Sincere Allison with the fair catch, and that's such a hard play because it's a slow kind of squib sky kick, and you're standing there knowing that the cover team is coming down to hit you hard, and he did a nice job of just securing the ball and putting his offense in pretty good field position here at the 28-yard line.
Now, if you're A.L. Brown, having some success on the ground, had some success through the air too, so doing a lot of things right on offense. They've just got to find a way to be more consistent, I think. 4 wide from the gun. McCoy looking for the edge and gets about 5 yards, and will take us to the end of the third quarter. Well, it's been 3 epic quarters, and in a game that's been decided by no more than 2 touchdowns over the last couple of years, we head to the fourth quarter in a 1-point game on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. In Kannapolis, but when the bell game comes around, you never know what you might see, and a little bit of everything so far in the opening game of this 2015 high school football season. 1 point lead for Concord, and A.L. Brown J has the football facing second down to open up the fourth stanza.
Well, this rivalry's really lived up to the billing. It's a clean rivalry. Both teams playing so hard heading into this fourth quarter, 15-14. What more could you ask for, Chris?
Since 2009, all games in this rivalry have been decided by 13 points or less. The only game in that time frame that was not decided by one score, a couple of years ago, 2013, Concord won by 13 points. Last year was a 6-point game. Spiders won that contest 20-14 as A.O. Brown couldn't punch it in from the goal line as time expired. We'll see what transpires here in the final quarter. Johnson will operate from the shotgun and head to the air. And that one knocked away, incomplete. Was looking for Washington, I believe, on the far side of the field. Check that. He was trying to hit Lewis Harris, the 6'1 junior. And third down coming up as you look at the replay.
Just a quick pass, a little slant route right there, and defensive line for the Spiders didn't really have any time to get in the backfield because it was just a bang-bang play, 3-step drop, and easy pitch and catch right there, but the secondary knocked the ball out.
Big third down for A.O. Brown. Play fake. Over the middle, it's tipped away, incomplete. A.O. Brown fans wanting a flag as Cagle was the intended receiver, but there is a flag in the backfield, and we might get a roughing the passer here. Yep, and it will be roughing the passer, so new life given to the Wonders.
Critical penalty by the Spiders, giving second life to the Wonders, and Johnson sitting in the backfield and getting hit late, and unfortunate for the Spiders because that was going to really give them a lot of momentum, but the defensive line, Sandage, came in and hit Johnson a little bit too late, and the refs called it.
Have to call something like that, pretty obvious, and in the day and age of player safety, you want to protect everybody, and rightfully so. 4 wide for Johnson. High snap, hands it away, and guess what? It's time for another flag. That'll thwart the progress of A.O. Brown and back him up 5 yards. Another procedure penalty. If you're a coach, when do you start saying, okay, we're far enough along in the season that you shouldn't be making these penalties? Is it the fourth quarter now, or is it game 2 or game 3 of the season?
Well, I think the coaches would never admit it, but they're going to say, hey, from game 1, we need to be disciplined. But I think once you get a couple games under your belt, if you're repeatedly making mistakes and false starts, then you've got to reevaluate who you have out on the field and what techniques they're using.
Another high snap. Cagle comes down with it and gets the penalty yardage back across midfield, plus a little bit extra.
And a lot of times coaches, when there are false start penalties, they'll change up the snap count. So instead of going maybe on 1 or going on 2, they'll do it on first sound to make it easier for their offensive line.
22 seconds into the fourth quarter. A.L. Brown trying to take the lead. Wanderers led this game 7-0, then 14-7. But Concord has rallied back and now leads by 1. Play game 10, end around. It's Richty. Not much doing there for Casey Richty, who had 4 carries for 83 yards a year ago. And now 3rd down and 7 coming up.
Well, Mike Baker shot into the backfield there and cut off containment, and that's what enabled his defense to plug up the hole. Big number 7 coming out, missed the tackle, but kept the ball carrier inside of him and let his teammates swarm in for the tackle.
Baker had 84 tackles a year ago, also had 10 tackles for loss. End around, running room, and thrown to the ground that time was the running back for A.L. Brown. It was Jaquarius Boast, a 5'9 junior, trying to get to the outside, and it will depend on the spot, but I think he has it. Here's the replay.
Well, Boast with a little end around play, and Fresh coming into the game there, giving McCoy and Cagle a rest and doing his part, picking up the first down for his offense.
Amir Young on the stop. Confusion for A.L. Brown as they set the chains at the 40. Under center. Fumbled snap. They get it away to Richty, who's thrown for a loss. Locusts erupting in the backfield to make the stop, but I believe they're going to call the ball carrier down for a loss of just 1 yard. A break there for A.L. Brown.
Well, they've had some turnovers, but there's been a couple breaks for this offense. And right there, Johnson, the ball squirting out of his hands, and the Wanderers able to escape another potential turnover. And for both teams, regardless of the outcome, there's going to be a lot of teaching moments and coaching opportunities when they watch the film.
Absolutely.
Because, you want to get the win, but really, too, you want to correct these mistakes as well, and so to see your team progress throughout the season.
Play fake. Johnson heaves one up, and too long for Washington. And now the fans below us on the A.L. Brown side. Washington upset with himself. He couldn't catch it. Fans were upset there wasn't a flag, but that ball just, I think, a little bit too much air underneath it.
Yeah, sometimes the referees they're not supposed to call it if it's uncatchable, and Johnson lofted it up a little bit too much, and they were looking for the flag right there, but wasn't much contact. And the home crowd will always look for the flag if they don't convert on the play, and look like good defense by the Spiders.
Another 3rd and long for A.L. Brown. Johnson, a play fake. Bootleg, looking, escapes the tackler. Now going to try and stumble for the first down, and I think he got it. What a run by Johnson. The senior in his final Bell game, leaving it on the field tonight.
Johnson showing his athletic ability. It looked like 3 or 4 different times, Chris, that he was going to be brought down and corralled, but unable. The Spiders were to bring him down. A big first down for his offense. And on the replay, keeping his eyes downfield and just zigzagging out a tackler's way. And with a great cut right there, that final cut enabled him to get the first down.
Showing some of those basketball skills he has there, going coast to coast. An all-conference performer in football, basketball, and baseball a season ago. As, surprise, surprise, here's a flag. But to finish the thought, Johnson, as encroachment will be called on Concord, Johnson, the first 3-sport athlete at A.L. Brown since 2005. Just goes to show you how special that young man is.
So he's a point guard, the outfielder, and the quarterback, the 3 main positions in each respective sport, and just the time that he puts into each sport, and he's a star in each one, and just shows his commitment to excellence.
1st and 5, a handoff up the gut, and nothing to write home about there. It'll be 2nd down and short, as McCoy got the carry that time. And Johnson grew up hearing about this rivalry probably at home. His dad played football here at A.L. Brown, was a running back in the early 90s, so I'm sure growing up Johnson knew the ramifications of this game.
What a family lineage, and coming to games throughout growing up. That's what's so special about this rivalry, is the hometowns of both schools, and just how so many of these players have lived this rivalry their whole life, and coming out here and having the opportunity to play for their schools, it's really a special feeling.
On 2nd down and 5, A.L. Brown gives the 5 yards they just got right back. It's like that holiday gift that you re-gift to somebody else. It'll be 2nd and 10.
I've never given out one of those holiday gifts that you re-gift.
You've never given out like some kind of ugly sweater or something?
I have. I wasn't going to admit it on air, but since you brought it up, I won't admit to who, but it has happened.
As long as it wasn't your mom, you're okay.
Exactly right.
2nd and 10. 3 minutes gone by here in the 4th quarter. McCoy on the fake. Johnson dumps it off to Cagle, who tiptoes the sideline and gets 7 yards before he's pushed out of bounds by Mike Baker. And you can see Baker, their number 7 in the middle part of your screen, walking a little bit slowly. You can see him breathing heavy. Defense on both sides, probably gassed tonight.
Well, 6'2", 275. He's such a fast player, seeing him run down the sideline, but he's been out there all ball game. And for that defensive line, this is really where you got to start tapping into your conditioning, because it's a hot ball game, it's a rivalry game, and you got to find and get everything you have in your tank to finish out and close this ball game out.
3rd and 4 from the precipice of the red zone, and a timeout called by A.L. Brown. That'll leave the Wonders with 1 timeout. So each side have burned 2 timeouts before the stretch run of this football game.
Yeah, these timeouts are really critical. And going back to the conditioning, when you're in the off-season and preseason drills, and we talked about the Wonders, kind of word for the offseason was finish, going back to last year's ball game, not finishing out, closing out that ball game. And when you're in these huddles, the players are, sometimes the coaches will say it, but when you're in the huddle by yourself, the players are out there leading the way and saying, you know, guys, remember what we did during the summer, remember how tough it was, we need to finish, this is what we did all that work for, is these types of ball games and these environments and these moments, this is when we need to come up big. And that's why it's really important to have that senior leadership up there, because those guys, this is their last ball game in this rivalry.
Take us through the huddles quickly. First for Concord, what's the conversation on defense? Well,
on defense, you've got to try to create a turnover. You're always talking about creating turnovers, but also too, you've got to find a way to contain Cagle and then Johnson as well. If you're the Wonders, first of all, you got to protect the football, because they've had so many turnovers that they've fallen back on top of. And then again, you've just got to find a way to create running lanes if you're the offensive line, and then hopefully get a play pass over Washington over the middle where they've had so much success, and then another penalty occurs.
And boy, look at the frustration there from the offensive line. Juan Morgan is highly upset, and he's a senior. He's 6'3", 290. He knows the importance of these penalties, and he's become one of the leaders of this A.L. Brown squad. And a procedure penalty there on one of his offensive linemen will back A.L. Brown up 5 yards. But you love the emotion that's shown by one of the seniors.
One of the senior captains, and Coach Newsom talked about him being a key cog on that offensive line and one of the vocal leaders. And when you're a senior offensive lineman, you've got to take hold of those young guys and the new inexperienced guys playing alongside you and really try to bring them together and calm their nerves down, because it all starts up front, the offensive, defensive line. And if you can play well as a cohesive unit, it's going to help your playmakers on the outside execute.
3rd and 9. Handoff. Cagle. Near side. Cagle, burst of speed, has the first down. Picked a hole, found the right one. Naslardine wrestled him down, but not before he picked up a huge first down for the Wonders.
Cagle, whether it's special teams or on offense, keeps making plays, and they've really seen the coaching staff feed him with the ball in critical situations, picking up a big first down and continuing this drive for the Wonders, and really done his damage on the outside. And great blocking by his wide receivers and running backs. Right there, McCoy setting up a big block for his teammate in the backfield, and just great overall team effort.
From the 18, it's Cagle again, trying to finish the drive. Wonders take the lead. And a late flag flies in, so hold the phone. This one probably coming back.
Excellent downfield blocking by the Wonders, but they may call a holding penalty on this play. We'll wait and see if the officials do rule that.
And it will be holding on A.L. Brown, and Cagle, yeah, what can you do? That's all you can do. There's a look at the Kannapolis sideline.
You know, Chris, sometimes those holding calls downfield. I was watching that, and the receiver did bring him down a little bit, but it's hard to fault him because he's showing so much effort and trying to block for his teammate to get him into the end zone.
It'll still be a first down for A.L. Brown because the first down was achieved. So it's 1st and 9 from inside the 20. Split backs this time, as the handoff straight ahead to Cagle. He gets inside the 10 and should be close to the first down, maybe just a little bit short.
Cagle just so determined right now. We're used to seeing him run on the outside. The coaches changed it up right there, had him run straight downhill up the middle, and got almost a conversion, 2nd and very manageable, being 2nd and 2.
A peek at the replay, partner.
Yeah, and running right through the middle offensive line. Morgan and the rest of his teammates created the hole for Cagle to run through, and he just hit it and really took it down and busted through a couple of defenders.
Johnson picking a hole. Johnson has the first down, I believe. But will depend upon the spot, I think. Wrestled to the turf by Amir Young, one of the 2 linebackers in this 4-2-5 defense. And Steve Adams will call for the official timeout and signal 3rd down. So 3rd down at less than a yard, 7:24 to go in the ball game, down by 1. Do you go for the first down or go for the touchdown here?
Well, I think you got to go for the first down here, because if you don't get it, then you're putting yourself in a 4th and 1. So I think you got to play it safe and try to run the ball.
McCoy, check that, it's Cagle toward the pylon. He is in. Touchdown Wonders.
Chris right there. Cagle's really taken over this second half, put his team on his back, and the A.L. Brown fans are showing respect for their star running back, getting into the end zone the first time. It came back with a penalty at that time, again running in on the left side, and he's really running so powerful, getting in to put his team on top 20-15 right now, the extra point looming.
But up by 5 as Plummer's Porch illuminated with the score. It looks like A.L. Brown may send the offense back on the field. Will try and get the 2-point conversion and take a 7-point lead.
Yeah, this is the right play call by Coach Newsome, getting his team out there and going for 2.
Fumble, Cagle picks it up and rolls forward, but will be stopped shy of the goal line.
Well, it's all about execution, and Chris, right now, you get momentum, and then that play right there, another fumble snap, and you're up by 5, but those 2 points are going to be critical coming down to the end of this ball game.
And I wonder for A.L. Brown, no pun intended, when you have to think maybe the thought from last year where you couldn't punch it in, oh man, here we go again. We'll talk about that after you see the touchdown run.
Yeah, right here, Cagle just running over the left side. You see his teammates, McCoy right there, shoving his defender out of bounds, and Cagle following his blockers and getting excited with his emotion. And then on this extra point, 2-point conversion here, or again, another replay by Cagle running to the end zone and just showing his heart and determination. And as a senior out there, as your last time, you see that emotion and just knowing what these guys have been through the past 3 years, coming out defeated and wanting to win this for their last time for the bell, and they can always have those bragging rights, and you see that coming out with how well they're playing and how hard they're playing, but also their emotion as well.
But still plenty of time if you're Concord. 7 minutes, 11 seconds. Have that one timeout. And they've shown the ability to be an explosive offense tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, both teams have plenty of time. No reason to get too excited because each team, with the turnovers they've caught, coming out with how well they're playing and how hard they're playing, but also their emotion as well.
But still plenty of time if you're Concord. 7 minutes, 11 seconds. Have that one timeout. And they've shown the ability to be an explosive offense tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, both teams have plenty of time. No reason to get too excited because each team, with the turnovers they've caused and created by themselves, unforced errors, nobody's out of this ball game. It's really going to come down to, again, as we talked about coming out of halftime, controlling overs of both teams haven't been able to do it. So it's the last 7 minutes, 11 seconds. It's going to be critical. Whoever plays more fundamentally sound is probably going to win this ball game.
See what kind of strategy is employed here on the kickoff. Do you kick it deep? Do you kick it short? We'll wait and see. Mozingo has shown the ability to have some big returns. Williams drives one deep. It's a short kickoff that's bobbled and then picked up at the 10. Burst of speed straight ahead for P.J. Hall out to the 27-yard line as we head down to the field and say hello again to Aaron Summers.
Chris, you guys keep talking about how much time is left in this game, and A.L. Brown's sideline has not let that leave their minds. The whole entire game, they've been counting down that game clock, and it actually started last season. In the very end of their season, they started a countdown clock. They put it in the weight room. As soon as practice started, they put it in the locker room. They've been counting down to this game, and they are counting down to this win tonight. So, guys, it is going to be an exciting last 7 minutes, and we'll see if A.L. Brown can hold on.
Well, they're 7 minutes away from counting down their first victory over Concord in 3 years. As that pass falls incomplete, it's second down. Thanks for that report, Aaron. Black working from the shotgun. He's got Hall standing beside him. 4 wide again. Pressure coming. Black in trouble and going down. Elijah Hall and Najee Williams combining for the sack.
That defensive line I had talked about previously, being tired and standing up high and not rushing Black, gets through swarms, and that extra energy they have from their scoring output on the offensive side has given them a boost of momentum and coming through and really attacking Black at a big play. And right now you're looking at the clock, Chris, 6:30, still plenty of time, but you can tell this game is really dwindling down and the possessions are going to be that much more crucial.
It's 3rd and 17. Black has time. Home run ball. Naslin Ardeen, an overthrow. He was double covered, tried to thread the needle anyway, as Kasim Black, the 5'9 senior, making a play.
Well, when you have a 6'4", 200-pound wide receiver with that speed, it's a nice option to have when you're in a long-distance situation. Black just threw it a little bit too deep for Nazrul Nardine and brings out the punting unit here. And it was just a seam route down the sideline. Black lofted it up, but far enough out of the reach for the completion.
Black will punt. Cagle is back deep. Should be great field position for A.L. Brown, as a delay of game was called on Concord. Talk about compounding the situation. Concord really hurting the cause right now.
Well, it's just changing the field position even more, and you see Cagle standing at the 50-yard line right there. If Black kicks it to him, he's going to be catching with momentum going into the opponent's territory. So these penalties are really starting to rack up and hurt the Spiders.
Return maybe for Cagle on the plus side of the 50, and maybe more. Cagle inside the 20. Huge return for the Wonders.
Well, Chris, Cagle's taking over this ball game. Juan Morgan getting in his face with elation. The whole team rallying around him, and great return. It was all set up by Dominic DeRosa's block right once Cagle caught it. The 5'7" junior wide receiver came in and put up a big hit. A defender of the Spiders. You can see DeRosa right here, 33 with the block on Yas. That sprung Cagle to the outside, and he did the rest running down the sideline and putting his offense in great field position. And Chris not taking any rest right here. McCoy, Johnson, and Cagle are all out in the backfield, the three-headed monster.
McCoy up the middle and gets 7. And I think the momentum squarely on the side of the Wonders here, with under 6 to go, and maybe starting to sense that the bell is coming back to Kannapolis.
Well, this is really when they start talking about let's finish, and the coaches and the players being out there, they can see a victory in their grasp, but still 5 minutes and a half left in this ball game, up by 5. You got to find a way to convert on this drive, and really with a touchdown to put this game at a two-possession game.
And motion up front. Looked like it was Yo's, the defensive end, who stepped across that neutral zone. And this will be close to first down territory for A.L. Brown. And the official was marking it off, and it's almost just bonus time here for A.L. Brown. You can try and nurse the clock. Up by 5, a chance to make it a 2-score game. And first and goal for the Wonders as McCoy and Cagle get their assignments.
Well, if you're the Wonders, the #1 objective is to score, but if you can do that running the ball or using the clock, that's just going to be that much more of an advantage for you.
Cagle up the middle. Have yourself a day, Jalen Cagle. His second rushing score of the night. And a late flag for celebration, but Cagle runs for his second score in his many drives.
Cagle and McCoy right there sharing a hug, and the tandem in the backfield really been the superstars of this ball game on the offensive side, along with Johnson for the Wonders, and Cagle putting it all on his shoulders, going in for the second touchdown, Chris.
And Concord will be called for a personal foul after the play. And Cagle, yeah, you deserve all the high fives and pats on the back that you get. I imagine that Mr. Cagle will not have to buy lunch the first week of school.
He may not have to buy it all year.
He may not. May have all those folks in the student section say, hey, I got lunch for you today.
The whole team may have
That's
first week free lunch.
Williams for the extra points. And it's blocked. That play almost doomed from the start there. A low snap, not much that the holder could do. But still, it's an 11-point lead for A.L. Brown, and time not the ally here of the Spiders.
Well, two-possession ball game right now, and the Spiders, once they get the ball back, they're going to have to find a way to score quickly. And this potent offense by the Wonders, with Cagle going in, Coach Newsom talked about his confidence in his offense, and they've really done a nice job of backing up his talk, because his backfield has really come ready to play with the hard running of McCoy and Cagle. 2 touchdowns so far on the night, and really what's impressed me the most is their intensity and their ability to bounce off the tacklers and to finish runs, and that's something out of high school running backs that really separates you from good to great, and I believe both of these running backs are great.
And let's remember, because of the personal foul penalty, A.L. Brown will be kicking away from the plus side of the 50. So if you're Concord, you're almost allotted to start from your own 20-yard line. So would have 80 yards to go, 5-12, and down by 2 scores.
Well, in this situation, too, the defensive line for the Wonders is going to know it's most likely going to be a passing play. So it's going to be imperative for that offensive line, that inexperienced O-line for the Spiders, to hold up and give Black enough time to throw the ball to the outside receivers, because time's of the essence right now. It's going to be most of this times on these drives is going to be a passing situation.
Case, can they sit back in coverage now in this series defensively?
Well,
or do you still have to respect the run with 5 minutes left?
Well, I mean, you always have to respect the run, but definitely you're expecting pass. And as a secondary, you always want to keep your eyes in the backfield and play with your eyes, but you don't, as a secondary player or a linebacker, you don't want to let anything over your head. You don't want to let a wide receiver run past you, because the worst thing you can do at this situation is let somebody catch a big play on you and run for a touchdown. As long as you keep everything in front of you and live to fight another down, then you'll be okay.
Great look at the A.L. Brown sideline. And a lot about this next 5 minutes for A.L. Brown, too, I think, Jay, is playing smart. Don't let there be some kind of foolish penalty that hurts your cause and gives Concord new life. From the 20. Play fake. Black looking downfield. Got a man. Mazingo open and up the sideline for a huge gain. Gains 23 yards on that play. And that's what we're talking about in a quick strike offense.
Well, that's a perfect play by the Spiders right there. There's an identical play, the first play of the ball game, a fake to Mazingo, and then him running the wheel route on the outside, Black faking it, looking to the right, and then going back to streaking wide receiver Mazingo, and the defensive secondary was confused and didn't pick up Mazingo right there, and again, going another catch, getting out of bounds. This is a quick strike offense. They're methodically moving down the field here on 2 plays.
And getting out of bounds, too, which stops the clock and saves that final timeout for the Spiders. Black, a 3-year starter at quarterback. Mazingo, an all-conference performer last year, and you're seeing why. Had just 8 catches a season ago, but he's going to be big for this offense this year. They go to the outside again. Mazingo, on a crossing pattern that time, moves the chains.
Black looking for Mazingo, and you can tell these senior athletes have practiced this so many times throughout the year, and really perfect execution getting out of bounds so quickly.
When does the defense start keying on Mazingo? Maybe opens up Naslin Nardine on the other side.
Well, that's the thing. You've got two strong wide receivers on the outside. It's kind of pick your poison. Who do you want to double cover?
From the right side of the 50. Downfield. Naslin Nardine bobbled it. Oh. Maybe started running before he had the football. That would have been another first down.
Well, sometimes those long passes on the sideline when you're running away from it, when you know it's going to be an easy completion, is the hardest ones to catch. And right there, Naslin Nardine just took his eyes off it a little bit, and the clock is stopped, but second down here and 10.
What's the old saying? Hit him in the worst place, right in the hands. 2nd and 10. Screen pass, incomplete. Pressure was coming. Late flag, I think I saw thrown by the head linesman, but with the pressure coming, Black just had to get rid of that one. And I'm interested to see what the infraction is here with 4:38 to go. Here's a great look at the instructor and the pupil there. Coach Pageant and Keenan Black have been on the same page now for 3 years. Steve Adams, a legal man downfield on Concord. And that'll back the Spiders up 5 yards.
So Chris, second down right here, but this is really 4-down territory. So if you're the Spiders, you've got to plan. If you can't convert here, you've got to plan for really 3 downs to get 15 yards.
Play fake. Black all day. Home run ball. Naslin Ardeen makes the catch at the 15-yard line. And that's a case of a guy in Naslin Ardeen who's 6'4", going against a guy who's definitely a lot shorter as you look at the replay.
Well, he's had a couple big plays, and even if you miss out or if it's a little bit too long of a throw, you've got confidence that Naslin Ardeen can go up and catch it. And again, he just goes up there and outmans his defender, jumps up and catches it. And look at the Spiders being down here so close, 4:32 left in this ballgame, really moving quickly.
To the end zone and incomplete. Flag in. It'll be pass interference on A.L. Brown. I think Cagle will be flagged for the infraction as he was trying to body up with Naslin Ardeen there. But great field position. It'll be first and goal coming up for A.L. Brown, or for Concord, I beg your pardon.
But for the Wonders right here, this is the start of the field where you really do need to double cover Naslin Ardeen because his ability as a red zone target.
It'll be half the distance to the goal as the infraction occurred inside the 20-yard line, which puts the ball at the 8-yard line. It's 1st and 3. Black in trouble. Fumbled the football, and the Wonders have it. Stephen Howie comes up with the fumble recovery.
And the Wonder fans starting to celebrate, and Howley on the sideline. What a play from that defense. And the coaches talked about the progression of the defense, and the defense saves the day for the Wonders coming up and putting the ball back to the offense. And really looks like they're going to close out this ball game, Chris, with the ball, 2 possessions. The big play, the pressure on Black. Look at that, had nowhere to go. Fumbled the ball, and huge turnover. The Spiders hadn't turned the ball over all ball game and turned it over at the most critical time.
It was Elijah Hall who forced the fumble. Howie picked it up. And now the Wonders back to the ground and refusing to go down. A late flag flies in, but a heck of a run that time by Jaquarius Bose, the 5'9" junior. And maybe tack on 15 extra yards for some extracurricular activities. And no foul. They wave off the flag, but a gain of 18 yards sets up a 1st and 10 for A.L. Brown with just over 4 minutes left.
So, Chris, for the Wonders right here, the #1 key is to protect the football. Hold on to the football. Even if you're losing yards, just get down because the turnover will be costly here. The other thing is to stay in bounds when you're running the ball to keep this clock moving. With the Spiders only having 1 timeout, it's important that you stay in.
Boast slips to stay in bounds that time after he picks up about 4 yards. Now, this is an A.L. Brown team, Jay, that's 4A. They're picked 3rd in the Mecca Conference standings, but it's a brutal conference for A.L. Brown with the likes of Mallard Creek, who've won a couple of state championships. Huff is always at the top of the conference. Where do you see this A.L. Brown team finishing as the season goes along.
Well, Chris, I'll tell you what, that 6-6 record from last year isn't indicative of the talent they have. And coming out in a rivalry game with the strength of the Concords team and coming out here and putting on this effort with 26 points and really with their running attack and Cagle leading the way, I feel like they could have a great season and contend for one of the top spots in this conference.
Cagle has the first down, but the referee threw a flag. Most likely indicates some sort of holding penalty, which means this one is probably coming back. A.O. Brown 3A for a number of years. This is their third season in 4A, and if you look at their record, 6-6 last year, that was the lowest win total they've had in any season since 1996. As the flag is waved off, it's a first down at the 44-yard line. And you can start to see the drop-off a little bit as first we'll check the replay, Jay.
Yeah, right up the middle right there, and a couple big shots, but Cagle continuing to run through, and the flags continue to come down as well. But
and you look at their record, 12-2, and 10-4 their last year in 3A, 7-5, 6-6 last year. So maybe now trying to get back on the upward swing of the record. Cagle stumbling and gets a couple of yards. But you've got to commend them for the job that they've done. A.O. Brown, really the model of consistency. 33 straight years they've been at 500 or better.
Well, it's really amazing the tradition they have, and that stat you gave right there, tradition of excellence. And this series, even though 3 of the past years have gone to Concord, every year it seems like this rivalry goes back and forth, and it just shows the balance between both schools.
Cagle again for a first down. Clock stops to move the chains. Cagle has to be helped up, and rightfully so. He's done everything tonight. And yeah, a well-deserved breather for Jalen Cagle. Why not? Just collapsing on the sideline, partner.
Cagle's probably going to sleep well tonight and probably sleep well the rest of the week.
I imagine. It's McCoy up the middle for a couple of yards. And right now the clock, your ally, inside of 2.5. And A.O. Brown really in no hurry. It doesn't appear like Concord's going to try and stop the clock.
Well, Brown's protecting the ball on this drive, and that doing what they're coached to do is to protect it and to be careful with it, stay in bounds. So Coach Newsom has to be happy with how they're handling and closing out this ball game. We talked about finishing. Well, they're finishing this drive as the coaching staff expects.
Final 2 minutes. Boast up the outside and gets about 5 yards. It'll be third down. Look at the replay.
Both teams fighting so hard. Both going in there, starting to get some carries in the second half and the fourth quarter. And with Cagle and McCoy being so strong, seniors out there getting so many carries, they've still got another option with Boast out there, too. A lot of depth in the backfield. 3rd and 2.
McCoy will be the deke man this time as Boast gets it. He's been the workhorse on this drive. And a ring of frustration there of the bell as Concord may be realizing that their possession of the bell will be coming to a close here in about a minute.
Well, they've had it for 3 years and been very proud of their victories. And as this game closes out here, it's going to go back to the Wonders, and they've longed for that trophy and talked about their preparation for this ball game, trying to get it back, and they've succeeded tonight here in closing out this ball game and winning the Battle of the Bell.
Officials conferring, maybe checking the spot as they bring the chains across for the first time tonight. Look at the A.L. Brown fans. They're celebrating what's been a big night for them here in Kannapolis. And just short by a couple of chain links. Well, the state's oldest rivalry, dating back consecutively to 1931. They played in 1924, took a hiatus, and have met every year since 1931. It's lived up to the billing tonight, Jay.
Oh, yeah, with these rivalry games, Chris, I mean, when we say that this is going to something they're going to remember for the rest of their lives, it really is true. They may not remember every game, but they're going to remember this ball game, and especially for those seniors on the Wonders, their ability to lose 3 years in a row, come back for this final year and win going out as a senior. And for the Spiders, too, they've had a great string of success, and you remember the victories, you remember the defeats as well. What a great ball game.
4th and 1. It's a first and goal for the Wonders as McCoy down to the 10-yard line. And A.L. Brown has not had to lean on McCoy much in this second half. It's really been the Jalen Cagle show. But McCoy showing, hey, I'm still here and I'm pretty explosive in the backfield.
Well, McCoy rushing for over 1,200 yards last year and showing his explosive ability. And it's going to be tough for defenses throughout this conference to stop those two guys in the backfield.
And a kneel down that time by A.L. Brown. They'll have to kneel it one more time before the victory bell is theirs.
And this crowd, Chris, is getting so excited because they can feel the victory in their grasp. And this capacity crowd has been waiting 3 years for this victory, and they're going to get it tonight.
Most likely the final play of the game. As the clock stops with 29 seconds left. And there's the final kneel down. As we're inside of 25 seconds, no need to stop the clock. As we're down to 15 seconds to go here in the ball game. And that's gonna do it. For the first time since 2011, the bell will toll for A.L. Brown as the Wonders win it. For the first time since 2011, Kannapolis gets the chance to ring the bell.
Well, you see the emotion of the victory for the Wonders out there celebrating with their teammates, and the Spiders walking off the field defeated, but both teams played such a hard-fought ball game, have so much to be proud of, and really 26-15 isn't indicative of how close this ball game was, and both teams have so much to improve on. But for the Wonders to come out of here 1-0 in this rivalry game, they've got to be happy with where they're at to start off the season.
26-15 the final score tonight. But a valiant effort by Concord, and even though some may call this a rebuilding year for the Spiders, I think they're going to have tremendous success in their conference and in the 3A division this year.
Well, if this is a rebuilding year for them, they're going to have a lot of success in the future because they have so much talent out on the field.
All right, we'll come back and wrap things up right after this on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel. Big time in Kannapolis tonight as A.L. Brown defeats Concord to win the battle for the bell. The first time they've won the bell since 2011. As we go down to the field now and join Aaron Summers with the victorious head coach. Aaron?
Thanks, Chris. I am here with Coach Newsom. When the final clock ticked there down to the last second and you saw the 0-0 and that bell was yours, what was going through your head?
Well, you know, we've come so close the past couple years, you know, on the 1 yard line last year, the 3 yard line the year before. And, you know, I played it all the way to the end, so I wasn't sure until the time ran out. But great, proud of my kids, proud of this team, proud of the community. Just we brought back the bell, and this is what we wanted to do all year.
Big plays by Cagle there in the second half. What was the difference maker that kind of brought that win home tonight?
Well, you know, we told the kids before the game that big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. And, you know, Cagle as well as a lot of other kids stepped up and made a play when we had to make one. And it's exciting just for our kids to see them with this bell, our seniors going out so they can have it their whole senior year. And, you know, hopefully we can get on a run and you know, control this bell for several years to go.
How are you guys going to celebrate this one tonight?
I'm probably going to ring that bell all night long.
All right, there you go. We'll be hearing that all night long. Back to you guys.
All right, Aaron, thanks a lot. Great work down there tonight. A community effort here in Kannapolis as the entire community spread out and enjoying this one tonight. A.L. Brown wins it 26-15. Jay and I come back to wrap things up and take a look at some of the highlights right after this.